Across the globe, hidden beneath layers of time, lie artifacts and ruins that challenge everything we know about ancient civilizations. Monuments too perfect to be understood, tools too advanced for their era, and structures so mysterious they seem to whisper across millennia, asking us to reconsider our place in history. Who built them? Why? And how did they vanish, leaving behind only fragments of their impossible achievements? In the next 3 hours, we will uncover the most bizarre, unexplained archaeological mysteries, each one a clue to the astonishing truths that humanity may still be on the verge of understanding. Are you ready to question everything you thought you knew? High on a barren hilltop, surrounded by the arid landscape of Palestine, stands a fortress, a massive man-made mound that rises from the earth like a silent sentinel. This is Herodium, an ancient site that has captivated historians, archaeologists, and explorers for centuries. At first glance, it might appear to be just another ruin, another relic of the distant past. Yet, as you step closer, you begin to feel the weight of its mystery. Herodium is not just a fortress. It is a monument to ambition, power, and possibly even the very nature of kingship itself. Built by the Roman-appointed king, Herod the Great, around 23 BC, this hilltop palace was meant to be both a defensive stronghold and a lavish royal residence. Yet, despite its grandeur, Herodium remains shrouded in an air of enigma, with questions about its purpose, its construction, and the events surrounding it lingering unanswered. What drew Herod to this particular location, atop a seemingly insignificant hill in the desert? And what exactly was it that he hoped to achieve here, beyond the political and military control that the fortress afforded? The scale of the construction suggests something more than mere necessity, a symbol, perhaps, of the king's desire for eternity. Herodium was designed to be not just a fortification, but a bold statement of power, a place from which he could command the region. But why such an extravagant effort in a place so remote? As you wander through the site, the layout of the complex offers more questions than answers. The palace at the summit, with its grand staircases, pools, and gardens, feels almost out of place in the harsh desert landscape. How could such luxury exist here, so far from the comforts of the city? There are theories that Herod, in his relentless pursuit of grandeur, spared no expense, even importing exotic materials from distant lands to turn this desert mount into a paradise. But was it merely a reflection of his ego, or was there something more to his obsession with this place? Below the summit, in the lower levels of the complex, Herodium's mysteries deepen. Excavations have revealed a system of tunnels and chambers hidden beneath the surface, as well as what may be the king's tomb, an extraordinary discovery, as the exact location of his burial site was a subject of great debate for centuries. In fact, many believed that Herod's tomb had been lost to time, but the recent findings at Herodium suggest that this isolated hill was, in fact, his final resting place. However, the tomb raises as many questions as it answers. Some have speculated that Herod's final burial here was not simply a matter of personal preference, but part of a deliberate plan to solidify his legacy. The tomb itself, intricately designed and lavishly adorned, is unlike any other in the region. Was this the king's way of ensuring that his power and influence would endure long after his death? Or could it be that there was a more esoteric meaning behind this burial, something hidden from the historical record? Yet, as with much of Herodium's story, there is a lingering sense of ambiguity. While the site has been extensively excavated and analyzed, there are still parts of Herodium that remain unexplored, portions of the complex that have yet to reveal their secrets. What else might be buried here, perhaps under the shifting sands or hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels? Could there be clues to a deeper mystery, one that transcends the life of Herod himself? Perhaps it is the very scale and ambition of Herodium that continues to captivate the imagination. Its isolation, its grandeur, its enigmatic purpose, there is something about this place that suggests there is more to uncover. Were these ruins simply the expression of one man's hubris, or could they be the remnants of a much older, forgotten story, one that extends beyond Herod and his reign? As we stand at the foot of Herodium today, the questions remain. What more can be discovered about this remarkable site? And perhaps most intriguing of all, what does it say about the nature of power, legacy, and the lengths to which rulers will go to shape history in their favor? The answers may yet be buried beneath the sands, waiting to be uncovered. As we move from the arid hills of Herodium, we travel across continents to the dense, mysterious landscapes of northern Peru. Here, amidst the vast, sun-baked plains of the Lambayeque Valley, lies a site that has long puzzled archaeologists and historians alike, the Túcume Pyramids, a place where time seems to have stood still, yet echoes of an ancient civilization resonate through the towering earthen structures that rise like ghosts from the desert floor. The Túcume Pyramids, a sprawling complex of over 26 pyramidal structures, remain one of the most enigmatic archaeological sites in the Americas. Unlike the monumental stone constructions of the Aztecs or the Mayans, these pyramids are built from adobe, a material both vulnerable to the ravages of time and yet, in its own way, uniquely resilient. The largest pyramid at Túcume, known as the Huaca Larga, stretches more than 1,000 feet across and towers above the surrounding valley like a silent sentinel from another age. At first glance, these pyramids might seem to be just another forgotten relic of a lost civilization. But as you stand before them, it quickly becomes clear that this is no ordinary sight. The pyramids, though massive in scale, have a peculiar quality. They seem to rise organically from the earth itself, as if they are part of the landscape rather than merely built upon it. The sense of mystery deepens as you take in the surrounding area, where the pyramids appear to align with natural features of the land, creating a strange harmony between human creation and the natural world. The site was once a thriving urban center, the heart of the ancient Lambayeque or Sican culture, a civilization that flourished between 800 and 1100 AD. The people who built Túcume were masterful engineers, their skills evident in the size and precision of the pyramids, as well as in their complex irrigation systems that allowed them to thrive in an otherwise arid region. But despite centuries of study, much about Túcume remains shrouded in uncertainty. Who exactly built these enormous structures, and for what purpose? Was this a place of worship, a center of political power, or something entirely different? While mainstream archaeologists generally agree that the pyramids were built by the Sican people, there are still no definitive answers to these questions. The pyramids are thought to have served a religious function, possibly as places of ritual and sacrifice. Some have speculated that the site may have been dedicated to the worship of deities tied to the earth, fertility, and the forces of nature. The sheer size of the Huaca Larga suggests that it was a place of great importance, perhaps the seat of a powerful ruler or priestly class. And yet, there are few written records from the time, leaving much to the imagination. But it is the mysteries that lie beneath the surface of Túcume that continue to captivate those who study it. In recent decades, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of an elaborate network of tombs, including the remains of humans, animals, and precious artifacts. Yet, as often happens in ancient sites, many of the tombs have been looted, leaving behind only fragments of the past. The looting of Túcume is believed to have occurred long after the decline of the Sican culture, as the site remained abandoned for centuries before being rediscovered in the modern era. But some believe that the treasures taken from these tombs were not simply objects of wealth, but symbols of something much deeper, something connected to the spiritual beliefs of the ancient people. Among the most intriguing discoveries at Túcume are the huacas, smaller pyramidal structures scattered throughout the site. One of the most notable is the Huaca one, also known as the Temple of the Pleiades, which some believe may have been constructed with a celestial alignment in mind. The Pleiades cluster of stars, known as the Seven Sisters, plays a significant role in many ancient cultures, and it is possible that the builders of Túcume incorporated celestial patterns into their architecture, as was done at other major ancient sites around the world. The idea that the pyramids may have been designed with astronomical significance, tied to the cycles of the stars, the seasons, and the heavens, adds an extra layer of mystery to the already enigmatic site. As we dig deeper into the history of Túcume, it becomes clear that this was not merely a place of physical power, but a site where cosmic forces may have been invoked. Perhaps the pyramids were meant to connect the earthly realm with the divine, bridging the gap between the human world and the gods. This belief is reinforced by the discovery of various objects associated with ritual practices, including human remains that show signs of possible sacrifice. The Sican people may have believed that by offering up the lives of their own people, they could appease the gods and ensure fertility, prosperity, and protection for their civilization. But even this explanation leaves us with more questions than answers. Why did the Sican people, an otherwise sophisticated civilization, choose to build so many pyramids in such a concentrated area? Was Túcume a political capital, a religious center, or both? And what of the peculiar arrangement of the pyramids themselves? Could they have been aligned in ways that we do not yet fully understand? Perhaps connected to the movements of the stars, or even the shifting winds of the valley? And what of the decline of Túcume? While the reasons for the fall of the Sican culture remain unclear, it is believed that the civilization was eventually overtaken by the Inca Empire in the 15th century. However, the ruins of Túcume, though abandoned, remained a source of legend and lore for centuries to come. The question remains, why did this advanced civilization disappear? Was it the result of warfare, drought, or perhaps a more profound spiritual collapse? As with so many ancient sites, Túcume invites us to look beyond what is immediately visible. There are still so many unanswered questions, so much left to uncover. What lies beneath the surface of these ancient pyramids? What might future excavations reveal about the people who built them? And what, if anything, they left behind for us to discover? The answers are still out there, hidden beneath layers of earth, waiting for those who are willing to search for them. But for now, Túcume stands as a silent witness to a civilization lost to time, its mysteries lingering like the winds that sweep across the desert. As we leave the sun-scorched deserts of Túcume, we venture high into the Andean mountains of South America, where another mystery awaits. Hidden among the mist-clad peaks of modern-day Peru lies the Vilcabamba stone complex, a site that continues to defy explanation and resist the full comprehension of those who study it. Unlike the ancient pyramids of the Lambayeque Valley, the stones of Vilcabamba are not monumental structures or large temples, but rather enigmatic slabs and rocks, scattered across the rugged terrain like fragments of some long-forgotten puzzle. The first thing that strikes you about the Vilcabamba stone complex is its sheer isolation. It sits on the outskirts of the Vilcabamba River, a remote location that would have been difficult to reach in ancient times. Yet here, amid this inhospitable terrain, there are signs of human activity. A series of oddly shaped stones, carved and positioned in ways that suggest intentionality. These stones vary in size, but they all share a strange geometric quality, with some appearing to form patterns that seem too deliberate to be natural. The complex was discovered only recently, and its true significance remains unclear. What sets it apart from other ancient stone sites is its mysterious location, its construction, and its purpose. According to some scholars, the site could be part of a forgotten Inca settlement, perhaps a secondary center that existed in parallel with the more well-known cities of the empire, such as Cusco. However, there are those who argue that the precision with which the stones have been shaped and placed here might indicate something older, possibly pre-Incan, and far more complex than any of the civilizations we currently know of. Unlike the Inca, whose architectural style often emphasized the use of massive stone blocks, carefully cut and shaped to fit perfectly together, the stones of Vilcabamba are distinctly different. They appear to be carved in shapes that seem both alien and familiar, sharp angles, smooth surfaces, and intricate patterns that suggest a deep knowledge of geometry and astronomy. Some stones form nearly perfect circles. Others create lines that seem to point toward the heavens, suggesting an alignment with celestial bodies or the stars. The alignment of these stones has not gone unnoticed. In fact, many theorists have pointed out that certain configurations of rocks appear to follow patterns that align with the solstices or the movement of the stars. Could it be that the Vilcabamba stone complex was used as an astronomical observatory? Perhaps the people who built it were keenly attuned to the heavens, just as the Inca were known to be. But if that's the case, why would they choose to build it in such a remote, almost inaccessible region? Was it a place of great spiritual or ritual significance? A hidden sanctuary away from prying eyes? As with so many ancient sites, the prevailing theories about Vilcabamba's purpose are based on fragments of evidence and educated guesswork. But there are also more fringe ideas that challenge the accepted narrative. Some suggest that the stones themselves may have been part of an advanced system of knowledge, something that extended beyond astronomy and into the realms of mathematics, energy, or even lost technologies. Could the stones of Vilcabamba have been part of an ancient network, a kind of geolinguistic map that was only fully understood by those who knew how to read it? Was it possible that the stones were not just markers or observatories, but components of an ancient tool for harnessing the natural forces of the earth? These more speculative theories are not without merit. The intricacy of the carvings, the alignment with celestial events, and the deliberate placement of the stones, together, they suggest that the builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of their environment, one that we may not fully comprehend. And yet, there are no records to tell us who these builders were or why they chose to construct this complex in such an obscure, seemingly impractical location. Was it a place of refuge during a time of upheaval? Or perhaps a ceremonial site for religious rites that have long since been lost to time? One of the most puzzling aspects of Vilcabamba is the near-total absence of any conclusive historical records. Unlike the more well-documented sites of the Inca Empire, there are no surviving texts, no oral traditions, and no reliable accounts that can explain the purpose of the stone complex. This has left archaeologists and historians with little to work with other than the physical evidence itself. Some suggest that the site may have been used for ritual sacrifices, with the stones acting as focal points for ceremonies. Others believe it may have served as a kind of power center, where the ancient people believed they could draw strength from the land itself, using the stones as a form of conduit between the earth and the heavens. Adding to the intrigue is the local legend of the City of the Gods, a myth that persists in the region, suggesting that there were once advanced beings, perhaps visitors from the stars, who brought knowledge and wisdom to the people of Vilcabamba. Could the stones be remnants of a forgotten time when these beings were said to have walked the earth, leaving behind their markers for future generations to decipher? Perhaps the most compelling theory surrounding Vilcabamba is the idea that it was not simply a physical site, but a spiritual one, a place where the very fabric of existence was understood in a way that modern scholars can only begin to imagine. If the builders of Vilcabamba had access to knowledge we have lost, could their understanding of the world have been so deep that the stones themselves were not just passive objects, but active participants in a larger cosmic plan? Were these stones designed to harness energy, to tap into forces beyond the ordinary scope of human understanding? As with so many ancient sites, the mystery of Vilcabamba invites us to look beyond the surface and consider that there may be things we are simply not yet ready to understand. The stones still stand in silence, each one a testament to a civilization that may have known far more than we ever thought possible. And while the complex's true purpose may remain hidden in the mists of time, the question lingers. What knowledge did those who built this place possess? And is it possible that there are still secrets buried beneath these stones, waiting to be uncovered? The answer, perhaps, is a mystery we are still trying to solve. As we journey from the remote peaks of Vilcabamba, we now find ourselves in the sun-baked deserts of southeastern Iran, where another ancient enigma waits to be uncovered. The site of Shahr-e Sukhteh, or the Burnt City, stands as one of the most mysterious and puzzling archaeological sites from the ancient world. Hidden in the vastness of Iran's Sistan and Baluchistan region, Shahr-e Sukhteh was once a thriving urban center, but today it lies in ruin, its ancient buildings scorched by a fire whose origins and purpose remain an open question. At the heart of this sprawling city, an intriguing discovery offers a glimpse into a culture that may have known more about fire and ritual than we've yet been able to understand. The first striking feature of Shahr-e Sukhteh is its desolate beauty. The city, which dates back to around 3200 BC, is named after the fire that destroyed it centuries ago. What remains are the ruins of a once vibrant metropolis. Rows of mud brick houses, the remnants of elaborate pottery, and the charred skeletons of its final inhabitants. But it's a different feature of the site that stands out most distinctly: the fire temple base. This structure, an unusual and enigmatic construction, hints at the possibility of a society deeply engaged with the power of fire, possibly as a central part of their religious and cultural practices. The fire temple base is a large circular platform constructed from mud brick and surrounded by a series of rooms and structures that seem to have been arranged in a deliberate pattern. It is not the only structure in the city, but its prominence makes it stand apart. The site was likely a center for worship, with the circular base possibly serving as the focal point for fire rituals. The idea of fire being central to religious practice is not surprising, especially considering the region's association with early Zoroastrianism, a religion that later revered fire as a symbol of purity and divine presence. But while these connections may seem logical, the exact purpose of the fire temple base remains unclear. Why did the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh seem to place such an emphasis on fire, and why was this particular structure so important to them? Archaeologists have uncovered evidence suggesting that the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh may have used fire in a variety of ways, including for the production of textiles, metallurgy, and even ritual purposes. The discovery of small, specially made figurines and idols, along with the remains of burned incense, indicates that fire could have been a focal point of both everyday life and spiritual practice. But what makes the fire temple base particularly intriguing is its unusual architectural features. The base itself seems to have been deliberately constructed to withstand intense heat, with its circular design suggesting a kind of reverence for the eternal flame. Some scholars speculate that it may have been used to house an altar or an eternal fire, a concept that would later be central to the Zoroastrian religion. But was fire the sole purpose of this temple? Or could there be other hidden meanings embedded in its construction? Some theorists suggest that the fire temple base could have had a more symbolic role, potentially representing the cyclical nature of life and death. The circular form of the structure, with its concentric rings and open center, could reflect the idea of continuity, perhaps a symbol of an eternal cycle, a passage from one phase of existence to another, akin to the seasons or the sun's journey across the sky. Fire, in this context, may not simply have been a tool or a divine agent, but a way to understand the world itself. As we dig deeper into the mysteries of Shahr-e Sukhteh, we find that the fire temple base may have been part of a much larger and more complex ritualistic system. In recent years, excavations in the area have revealed a striking array of ancient artifacts that suggest a deep engagement with cosmology and the supernatural. The discovery of human and animal figurines, some with distinctly unusual features, points to a possible belief system tied to the heavens, perhaps even a form of astral worship. Were the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh looking to the stars for guidance, using fire as a conduit between the earth and the cosmos? Could the fire rituals that were practiced here have been a way of connecting with celestial beings or forces that transcended the physical world? Despite these fascinating clues, there are still many unanswered questions surrounding the site. One of the most perplexing aspects of Shahr-e Sukhteh is its sudden and mysterious destruction. Around 1800 BC, the city was consumed by a great fire, and it was abandoned almost overnight. The cause of this destruction has been the subject of much speculation. Was it a natural disaster, such as a lightning strike, or perhaps a catastrophic accident linked to the fire rituals themselves? Or was it the result of human conflict, with invaders laying waste to the city? There is evidence of violent destruction, but the sheer intensity of the fire raises further questions. Was this fire a result of the people's religious practices, or something else altogether? Some fringe theories have suggested that the fire could have been part of a ritualistic cleansing, a deliberate act of destruction in which the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh sought to rid themselves of impurities or unwanted forces. Perhaps the fire was seen as a purifying force, a way to renew the city and its people before a new era could begin. Others have even proposed that the city was destroyed in a manner not entirely of this world, a cosmic event or celestial alignment that triggered the fire. While these ideas remain speculative, they point to the profound and mystical connection that the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh may have had with fire, the earth, and the stars. Even the discovery of a series of meticulously crafted skulls, some with elongated features, has led some to wonder whether the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh were part of a unique cultural or spiritual group that practiced unusual rituals. Were these skulls a sign of an esoteric belief system, or were they simply the result of cultural practices involving cranial modification? The unanswered questions continue to build, and the more we learn about Shahr-e Sukhteh, the more we are left to wonder what the fire may have been meant to purge, and whether anything from that time has truly been erased from history. The fire temple base at Shahr-e Sukhteh stands as a solemn reminder of a time and a place where fire held not just practical value, but spiritual significance. Its purpose, the extent of its rituals, and the true nature of its destruction remain locked away, buried under centuries of ash and sand. And as we contemplate this ancient site, we are forced to ask, what knowledge did the people of Shahr-e Sukhteh possess about fire, the heavens, and the cycles of life and death? Were they simply an ancient culture with advanced practices, or were they part of a larger, more mysterious tradition, one that may hold answers to questions we have not yet thought to ask? The answers may lie somewhere beneath the charred ruins of this enigmatic city, waiting to be uncovered by those who are willing to dig deeper. From the desolate remnants of Shahr-e Sukhteh, we now turn our gaze westward, to a land where the very rocks themselves seem to have been shaped by ancient hands. The surreal landscape of Göreme, nestled within the heart of modern-day Turkey, is one of the most captivating and mysterious archaeological sites in the world. Here, the soft tufa stone that dominates the region has been carved and hollowed into a labyrinth of extraordinary structures, cave dwellings, churches, and even entire monasteries, all intricately woven into the rocky landscape. Göreme, part of the Cappadocia region, is a place where nature and human ingenuity have come together in a seamless blend, yet much about the ancient people who created these rock-hewn structures remains enigmatic. From a distance, the soft, pale hills appear to be an unbroken tapestry of natural rock formations, but as you move closer, the hidden history of this land begins to emerge. Towering spires of stone, shaped like ancient towers or mushroom caps, rise from the valley floor, each one carved and hollowed out by human hands over thousands of years. The most extraordinary feature of the Göreme rock structures is how seamlessly they merge into the environment. These towering, weathered formations are not merely the result of erosion and natural processes. They are human-made, sculpted into homes, places of worship, and entire communities. The ancient peoples of Cappadocia were masters of using the landscape to their advantage, carving out elaborate dwellings in the soft volcanic rock, creating an underground world that could withstand invasions, wars, and the passage of time. It is believed that the region's first inhabitants began carving these structures as early as the 4th century BC, but the peak of the cave city's development took place during the Byzantine period, around the 7th and 8th centuries AD. The area became a refuge for early Christians who sought shelter from the Roman Empire's persecution. The caves served not only as homes, but as places of worship, with churches and chapels carved into the rock, their frescoed walls still visible today, offering a glimpse into the spiritual life of those who lived there. The most iconic and awe-inspiring part of the Göreme rock structures are the fairy chimneys, tall, pointed rock formations that dot the landscape like sentinels from another time. These chimneys, formed by the erosion of the region's soft volcanic rock, have been hollowed out over centuries, transforming them into living spaces, places of worship, and even storage units. The sheer scale of these formations, combined with the precision of their carving, leaves one to wonder, how did these ancient people possess the tools and knowledge to create such a vast network of interconnected dwellings? And why were these communities so deeply embedded into the rock, rather than built on the surface like other ancient cities? At first glance, the site appears as though it were built by a people with a profound connection to the natural world, shaping their homes and places of worship out of the very earth itself. But was it simply a matter of survival? Or was there a deeper, more profound meaning behind the use of this rock? Was it possible that the people of Göreme, like other ancient cultures, believed that the earth itself possessed spiritual significance, and that living within the rock brought them closer to the divine? The use of caves and rock-hewn structures for religious purposes is not unique to Göreme. Across the world, from the caves of Lascaux in France to the Ajanta caves in India, humans have been carving into rock for millennia, creating sanctuaries, temples, and burial sites. However, Göreme's cave churches stand apart in their sheer scale and intricacy. Many of these churches contain stunning frescoes depicting biblical scenes, saints, and angels, which have survived centuries of neglect, weathering, and even attempted destruction. The question remains, how did these ancient artists, working in such a challenging environment, manage to produce such detailed and vibrant works of art? And what significance did these murals hold for the people who lived in these caves? One of the most striking aspects of Göreme is its network of subterranean cities, a complex system of tunnels, chambers, and hidden passageways that stretch deep beneath the surface. The Kaymakli and Derinkuyu underground cities are some of the most well-known examples, and it's estimated that these underground complexes could house thousands of people. The tunnels and rooms are often narrow, cramped, and dark, yet they are ingeniously designed to allow for ventilation, water storage, and the storage of food and supplies. The purpose of these underground cities remains a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists. Were they created as refuges during times of war, as a means of hiding from invaders? Or did they serve a more spiritual purpose, a way for the inhabitants to retreat from the world above and connect with a higher realm? Some scholars argue that the underground cities were designed primarily as defensive fortresses, created to protect the inhabitants of the region from invading forces. In fact, Cappadocia was often a contested region, vulnerable to raids and invasions from the Romans, the Persians, and later, the Seljuk Turks. The underground cities would have provided an ideal hiding place, with their narrow passageways and hidden chambers making them nearly impossible to detect from the surface. But if defense was the sole purpose of these cities, why did they also contain places of worship, wells, and communal spaces? Could it be that these underground networks served as both a place of refuge and a spiritual sanctuary, a way to ensure the survival of the community both physically and spiritually? The underground structures, with their labyrinthine tunnels, suggest something even more enigmatic. Were the people of Göreme simply protecting themselves from invaders, or were they, in some way, trying to connect with the deeper layers of the earth? Could these underground complexes have had a symbolic or ritualistic function, a place where the boundaries between the living and the divine were more easily blurred? And what of the more speculative theories surrounding the Göreme rock structures? Some have proposed that the caves were not merely created by human hands, but rather the result of a more advanced civilization, one that possessed lost technologies or knowledge that allowed them to shape the rock with extraordinary precision. There are even theories suggesting that these structures could have been built by extraterrestrial beings who, according to some, left their mark on Earth in the distant past. While such theories are not widely accepted by mainstream archaeology, they continue to spark the imagination of those fascinated by the mysteries of the ancient world. As we reflect on Göreme, one cannot help but be struck by the quiet majesty of this ancient landscape. These rock-hewn churches, dwellings, and cities seem to speak not only of survival and practicality, but also of a deep connection to the earth and the divine. The people of Göreme carved their homes and sanctuaries into the stone, shaping the land not just for shelter, but perhaps as a way of reaching towards something greater, something beyond the physical world. What were the true beliefs of the people who lived here? And why did they choose to carve their world into the very bones of the earth? The mystery of Göreme's rock structures continues to linger, and as with so many other ancient sites, it seems that the more we uncover, the more questions arise. What remains hidden within these stone walls, beneath these ancient frescoes, and within the labyrinthine tunnels? Perhaps the answers lie not in the physical remains themselves, but in the mysteries of the people who built them, and the beliefs that guided their hands as they carved their world from the very rock of the earth. From the rocky caves of Göreme, we now take a vast leap across the Pacific Ocean, to a place so remote that it feels as though it exists at the very edge of the earth. Here, on Easter Island, one of the most isolated locations in the world, a strange and enduring mystery persists. Beneath the towering, silent statues known as moai, there lies a site that continues to baffle archaeologists and historians alike: the Ahu Vinapu Platform. Ahu Vinapu is located on the southwestern coast of the island, where the wind blows relentlessly across the barren landscape, and the vastness of the ocean stretches out toward the horizon. The platform itself is relatively modest compared to the grandiose moai that dot the island, but what makes Ahu Vinapu truly remarkable is the engineering precision of its construction. The platform is made of massive stone slabs, so meticulously cut and fitted together that some scholars have likened its construction to that of the ancient Incan walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru. The stones of Ahu Vinapu are precisely carved, and many of them fit together with a level of precision so fine that even the thinnest of blades could not slip between them. Unlike the other platforms on Easter Island, which are typically built using rougher, less exact stonework, the stones of Ahu Vinapu seem to defy the conventional understanding of the island's ancient builders. How could a society, often described as primitive in its technological capabilities, produce such precise and sophisticated stonework? The mystery of Ahu Vinapu begins with this very question. The construction of the platform has sparked speculation and debate for decades, particularly due to its uncanny resemblance to the dry stone construction techniques used by the Inca, who built their monumental structures in the high Andes of South America. The technique involves carefully cutting and fitting stones together without the use of mortar, creating walls that are not only visually stunning, but also incredibly durable and resilient to the forces of nature. While many assume that Easter Island's builders were isolated from the Andean cultures, the similarities between the stonework at Ahu Vinapu and the ancient Incan sites have led some to wonder, did the people of Easter Island possess knowledge or skills that were far more advanced than we have traditionally believed? Mainstream archaeology posits that the construction techniques used on Easter Island were developed independently, and that the people of the island, known as the Rapa Nui, were capable of remarkable feats of engineering. The Rapa Nui are thought to have created the island's famous moai statues, moving and erecting them using a combination of ropes, levers, and human ingenuity. However, the precision of Ahu Vinapu's stonework seems to suggest a higher level of technical expertise. The question remains, where did this knowledge come from? Did it emerge organically from the island's isolated culture, or could there be another, less conventional explanation? Some fringe theories have proposed that the similarities between Ahu Vinapu's construction and Incan stonework are not merely coincidental. Could it be that the Rapa Nui people were somehow connected to the ancient civilizations of the Americas? Some suggest that there may have been contact between the people of Easter Island and the Andean cultures long before the arrival of Europeans. Was there an exchange of knowledge and techniques between these distant societies? The idea of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact is not a new one, and there is a growing body of alternative theories that suggest ancient civilizations may have been far more interconnected than traditionally believed. One such theory proposes that the Rapa Nui, who were seafaring people, may have had knowledge of advanced shipbuilding and navigation, enabling them to travel across the vast expanse of the Pacific. Could they have made contact with the Andean cultures, bringing back techniques and knowledge that influenced their stonework? Or could the construction of Ahu Vinapu have been inspired by a shared, forgotten tradition, one that spanned both the Pacific and the Andes long before the rise of the Inca Empire? Another compelling theory involves the possibility of a lost civilization that predates both the Rapa Nui and the Inca. Some researchers speculate that the Ahu Vinapu Platform could be the remains of an ancient structure built by a society whose existence has been erased from history. This theory suggests that the Rapa Nui may have inherited the stoneworking knowledge from an older culture that once inhabited the island, but was lost to time. Could it be that Easter Island's true history stretches back far further than we realize? Perhaps even to a time when the island was part of a broader network of ancient civilizations, long forgotten by the world? As intriguing as these theories may be, there is still no definitive answer to the mystery of Ahu Vinapu. While the stonework at the platform is undeniably sophisticated, we are left with more questions than answers. What were the true origins of this advanced technique, and why was it used at Ahu Vinapu? Was the platform merely a ceremonial site, or did it serve a practical purpose, perhaps as a place of gathering or worship? The island's oral traditions, passed down through generations, offer little insight into the true function of Ahu Vinapu, and the lack of written records from the Rapa Nui people only deepens the mystery. Even more perplexing is the strange fate of the platform itself. Ahu Vinapu is not in pristine condition. The platform is largely in ruins, with many of the stone slabs having been toppled and scattered over time. Some believe that the platform's destruction may have been the result of internal conflict or external forces, perhaps brought about by the island's declining resources or the arrival of foreign powers. Could the fall of Ahu Vinapu have marked the end of a golden age on Easter Island? And what role did the platform play in the cultural and spiritual life of the Rapa Nui? In recent years, archaeologists have made significant strides in uncovering the history of Easter Island and its monuments. Excavations have revealed a wealth of information about the island's environment, its unique ecosystems, and the rise and fall of its ancient civilizations. Yet, despite these advancements, the mystery of Ahu Vinapu persists. The site remains one of the most enigmatic and puzzling locations on the island, its true origins and significance still locked away beneath layers of stone. As we contemplate Ahu Vinapu, we are left to wonder whether the answers to its mysteries lie buried within the earth, waiting to be uncovered by future generations of researchers. Could the platform be part of a much larger, as yet unknown history, one that stretches back thousands of years and connects the people of Easter Island with distant civilizations in the Americas or beyond? Or is it simply a remnant of a lost tradition, a faint echo of a people who, like so many others, have left behind only their stone monuments to speak for them? Whatever the truth may be, Ahu Vinapu stands as a testament to the enduring mystery of Easter Island. It is a place where the past continues to whisper its secrets, urging us to look deeper, to question what we know, and to search for the connections that have been lost to time. The stone platform, with its perfect yet perplexing construction, remains a silent sentinel, holding the keys to a history that is still waiting to be fully understood. From the enigmatic stone platforms of Easter Island, we now shift our focus to another lesser-known yet equally puzzling site, Dharamrajika, located in the heart of the Mohenjo-Daro region of present-day Pakistan. Unlike the colossal, world-renowned ruins of ancient cities, the Dharamrajika prehistoric stone platforms remain relatively obscure, hidden in the depths of the archaeological world. Yet these stone structures, though simple in appearance, present a profound mystery that continues to baffle researchers and historians alike. The Dharamrajika site is situated in a desolate, remote area, surrounded by the harsh landscape of the Indus Valley. The site itself is composed of a series of large, flat stone platforms positioned with an almost deliberate precision, as though they were once part of a grander structure or complex that has long since eroded. The stones themselves are weathered and worn, evidence of the passage of time, but their sheer size and the apparent care with which they were arranged suggest a purpose far beyond the purely utilitarian. These platforms, some measuring several meters in length, seem out of place in the otherwise flat and barren expanse of the region. What could have been the intention behind such large and isolated stone constructions? Mainstream archaeology holds that these stone platforms likely served a ritual or ceremonial purpose, linked to the spiritual or religious practices of the people who once inhabited the Indus Valley. The region itself was home to one of the world's earliest urban civilizations, the Indus Valley Civilization, known for its advanced city planning, extensive trade networks, and mysterious script. The Indus Valley Civilization flourished from around 3,300 BC to 1,300 BC, and while many of its cities, such as Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, have been extensively studied, Dharamrajika offers a glimpse into a more prehistoric time, long before the rise of these grand urban centers. The stone platforms at Dharamrajika are believed to date back to around 3000 BC, placing them in the early stages of the Indus Valley Civilization, but they predate the well-known brick structures that would later define the region's architectural legacy. Their purpose remains a matter of speculation. Some archaeologists suggest that these platforms may have been used for religious or burial rituals. Could they have been altars, places where offerings were made to gods or spirits? Or perhaps they served as the foundations for structures that have long since been lost to time. The fact that the platforms are positioned in specific alignments, with some pointing toward celestial bodies or landmarks on the horizon, further suggests that they may have held ritualistic or astronomical significance. What makes Dharamrajika even more intriguing is the absence of similar structures in the surrounding area. While other prehistoric sites feature stone formations, none seem to exhibit the same level of intentionality or precision seen in the Dharamrajika platforms. This raises an important question. Why were these platforms constructed here, in this particular location, with such care and attention to detail? Was there something unique about this spot that made it worthy of such monumental effort? One theory that has emerged among scholars is that the platforms were not merely ceremonial, but were linked to the agricultural practices of the time. The Indus Valley civilization, like many ancient cultures, relied heavily on seasonal cycles and the movements of celestial bodies to guide their farming activities. Could the platforms at Dharamrajika have served as markers for the changing seasons, helping to track the passage of time and the optimal moments for planting and harvesting crops? In this scenario, the platforms might have functioned as tools for agricultural planning, possibly used in conjunction with an early form of calendrical system. Another theory suggests that the platforms may have been part of an early form of astronomical observatory. The alignment of the stone structures with certain stars or constellations is not lost on those who study ancient astronomy. In some parts of the world, ancient people constructed massive stone circles and platforms to track the movements of celestial bodies. Could it be that the people of Dharamrajika were equally fascinated by the stars, and that the stone platforms were part of an early attempt to understand the cosmos? Were they observing the heavens, marking the passage of the solstices or equinoxes, and using the stars as a guide to the rhythms of their daily lives? However, these theories, while plausible, do not explain the full scope of the mystery surrounding the Dharamrajika platforms. The lack of written records or other supporting evidence means that much of what we can infer about their purpose is based on interpretation. While we know that the Indus Valley civilization was known for its urban complexity and sophisticated systems of measurement and trade, there is very little evidence to suggest that the people of Dharamrajika had access to the kinds of astronomical or calendrical systems that would have been required to create such precise alignments. If these platforms were truly used for astronomical observation, then the knowledge required to construct them would have been considerable, and yet no other signs of such advanced knowledge have been found in the immediate area. This leads some to wonder whether the platforms might not have been built by the people of the Indus Valley at all. Could they have been constructed by an even earlier, more mysterious civilization, one that predated the rise of the Indus culture? Some researchers have proposed that the Dharamrajika platforms could be the remnants of a lost civilization, perhaps one that was far more advanced than we give credit to. Could these people have left behind a legacy of advanced knowledge, only to be overshadowed by the rise of the Indus Valley civilization, which eventually absorbed much of their wisdom and practices? Alternatively, some have speculated that the platforms may have been the work of a wandering or nomadic group of people who passed through the region long before the establishment of permanent settlements. The presence of these stone structures, isolated and seemingly out of place, could point to a transient people with knowledge of stone construction that was not yet widespread in the region. If this was the case, then the Dharamrajika platforms might represent an early form of migration and cultural exchange, a link between distant groups that is yet to be fully understood. Adding to the mystery is the relatively little attention that the site has received in comparison to other famous archaeological sites in the Indus Valley. While Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa have been extensively studied, Dharamrajika has remained somewhat under the radar. Perhaps its remote location has kept it hidden from the larger narrative of ancient civilizations, or perhaps its true significance has yet to be recognized. As we reflect on the Dharamrajika prehistoric stone platforms, we are left with many lingering questions. Were they truly ceremonial altars, astronomical observatories, or markers for agricultural cycles? Were they built by the people of the Indus Valley, or were they the work of a forgotten civilization with knowledge far ahead of its time? The absence of written records and the obscure nature of the site only add to the sense that there is something more to discover. As the sands of time continue to shift, one cannot help but wonder, what secrets do the stones of Dharamrajika still hold, buried deep within their weathered surfaces? Perhaps, as with many of history's greatest mysteries, the answers remain just out of reach, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. As we leave behind the mysterious stone platforms of Dharamrajika, we now turn our attention to the Samaipata rock platform, an archaeological site nestled in the mountainous region of Bolivia, far from the hustle of urban life. Here, in a remote corner of the world, high up in the Andes, a colossal rock structure emerges from the earth, its surface carved with intricate patterns and symbols that remain largely unexplained. Samaipata is a place that seems to have been touched by ancient hands, but whose intentions and purpose continue to elude modern understanding. The platform sits atop a hill, overlooking the surrounding valley, offering a commanding view of the land below. The site itself is an imposing sight. A massive slab of rock, stretching some 250 meters, 820 feet, long, has been meticulously carved into terraces, channels, and enigmatic geometric shapes. At first glance, it might seem like little more than a series of natural rock formations. But upon closer inspection, the precision and artistry of the carvings suggest something much more deliberate. An ancient design, shaped with purpose, that speaks to an advanced understanding of engineering, art, and perhaps even spiritual significance. It is believed that the Samaipata rock platform was created around 200 BC to 500 AD, during a period that predates the rise of the mighty Inca Empire, though its construction likely involved various cultures and peoples who lived in the region. Most of the carvings are thought to have been made by the Shahr-e people, an indigenous group whose civilization thrived in the region long before the Inca arrived. Yet, the site's significance transcends the legacy of any one culture. Instead, Samaipata seems to draw from a deeper, older connection to the land and the cosmos, one that still remains a mystery. What stands out most about Samaipata is its scale and sophistication. The sheer size of the rock platform is overwhelming. It is as though the entire landscape was reshaped to serve a purpose that is no longer fully understood. The terraces and flat surfaces of the platform were clearly designed with care, and many scholars speculate that they may have served a ritualistic or religious function. Some of the carvings, which resemble altars or ceremonial spaces, suggest that this might have been a sacred site, possibly used for offerings to gods or spirits. But as with so many ancient sites, we are left to wonder, who were the people who created this massive stone platform, and what were they trying to communicate through their carvings? Among the most famous features of Samaipata is the carved animal figures, a series of enigmatic symbols etched into the rock. These carvings depict various animals, including serpents, pumas, and birds, all of which hold significant cultural symbolism for many ancient Andean peoples. But what is truly perplexing is the way in which these carvings are arranged on the rock platform. Some patterns appear to be purely decorative, but others seem to have been intentionally placed along specific axes or in alignment with celestial events. Could it be that the people of Samaipata were creating a map of the stars, or a symbolic representation of their connection to the cosmos? The possibility that these rock carvings might serve as a type of astronomical calendar is intriguing, but remains speculative at best. Beyond the animal carvings, there is another feature of Samaipata that continues to mystify archaeologists: the central rock carving, which is a large, intricately carved figure that appears to represent a face, possibly a deity or an important spiritual figure. Its features are partially eroded, but enough remains to suggest that it was once a highly detailed and deliberate work of art. What is striking about this carving is its position, set at the very heart of the platform, facing outward toward the valley. It gives the impression of a powerful entity watching over the land, its presence still palpable even after centuries of weathering. Was this figure a god or protector, meant to guard the people who gathered here? Or was it an abstract representation of a more complex spiritual or cosmic concept? The central carving and the animal figures may seem to suggest that Samaipata was a site for ritual worship or sacrifice, but this idea remains unproven. In fact, one of the most debated aspects of Samaipata is its purpose. Was it a place of spiritual significance, where the forces of nature were invoked and appeased? Or was it, perhaps, something more practical, an agricultural or political center where different peoples came together to exchange goods, ideas, and even power? The region surrounding Samaipata is rich in natural resources, and the platform's strategic location on a high hill might have offered a perfect vantage point for surveying the surrounding area. Interestingly, some theories posit that Samaipata could have been a ritualistic or ceremonial platform used to honor the forces of nature, particularly the sun, moon, and stars. Many of the carvings, especially those that align with natural features of the landscape, suggest that the site may have had astronomical significance. This idea is supported by the fact that other ancient Andean cultures, such as the Tiwanaku and the Nazca, also constructed monumental structures that were oriented to celestial events. Could the people of Samaipata have shared this same obsession with the heavens? And if so, what did they believe about their connection to the cosmos? For some, the precision of the carving at Samaipata raises even deeper questions. Some speculate that the platform was designed with advanced knowledge of geometry and engineering, suggesting that the builders of Samaipata had a far more sophisticated understanding of these principles than might be expected from a culture so distant in time. The precision of the lines and angles carved into the rock raises the possibility that the builders may have had access to tools or techniques that have since been lost to history. How could a relatively unknown civilization in the Andes have possessed this level of expertise? As intriguing as these theories are, the true purpose of Samaipata remains uncertain. Some even entertain the possibility that the platform was used for a far more esoteric purpose, perhaps as a portal or nexus between the human world and the spiritual realm. Could Samaipata have served as a place where the sacred and the earthly worlds converged? Was it a site of mystical power, perhaps tied to the cycles of life and death, the flow of the seasons, or the movements of the heavens? Or was it simply a place of ceremonial gathering, a monument to the belief systems of an ancient people whose traditions are now lost to time? One theory that continues to intrigue researchers is the possibility that Samaipata is not merely a product of the Shahr-e culture, but could be the legacy of an even older civilization, one whose knowledge of stone carving, astronomy, and ritualistic practice was passed down through generations. Could Samaipata be the work of a lost civilization that existed before the rise of the Andean cultures we know today? Could it be a remnant of an ancient society that predated the Incas, perhaps even influenced their own development? As with many other ancient archaeological mysteries, the more we discover about Samaipata, the more questions arise. Despite decades of research, the true purpose and origins of the Samaipata rock platform remain an enigma, one that continues to puzzle scholars and archaeologists alike. Was it a ceremonial site, an astronomical observatory, or a monument to forgotten deities? Or could it have served an entirely different function, one that we have yet to fully comprehend? What, then, lies beneath the weathered stone of Samaipata? The mysteries of this ancient site continue to beckon, urging us to look deeper into the past and question the true nature of its builders. The platform's haunting carvings and its imposing size serve as a reminder that, though we may understand the surface, there is still much we have yet to uncover in the layers of history. What secrets might still lie hidden within the stone, waiting to be revealed to those who dare to seek them out? Only time and further exploration can provide the answers. As we journey through the heart of ancient mysteries, we now turn our attention to a lost port, a once thriving hub of trade and culture, Adulis, located along the Red Sea coast in modern-day Eritrea. The ruins of this ancient city, now submerged beneath sand and time, continue to haunt the historical imagination, sparking questions that remain unanswered to this day. Once one of the most vital ports in the ancient world, Adulis was a crossroads for civilizations from Rome, India, and Africa. Yet, despite its former prominence, the port has largely faded into obscurity, its exact location lost for centuries. At the peak of its importance, Adulis was a bustling metropolis, strategically situated between the ancient civilizations of Egypt and the kingdoms of Aksum. It was a center of commerce, a place where goods, spices, ivory, gold, and exotic animals were exchanged across vast distances. Ships would dock here from as far as the Roman Empire, bringing with them fine wines, glassware, and Roman coins, while merchants from the east brought silk, pearls, and spices. It was the beating heart of the Red Sea trade network, and for centuries it thrived. But despite the wealth and influence Adulis once commanded, today the site is largely forgotten, its precise location uncertain. Much of what we know about the port comes from ancient texts, references in the writings of Greek and Roman historians, and archaeological excavations that have uncovered scattered remnants of what was once a great city. Yet, the full extent of its mysteries remains elusive. In ancient texts, Adulis is often described as a magnificent port city, surrounded by great stone walls and adorned with monumental structures, temples, palaces, and markets. The famous Greek historian Strabo wrote about it in his geography, referring to it as a key point on the trade route that linked the Mediterranean world with the heart of Africa. Other writers, including Ptolemy, mention Adulis as a thriving cosmopolitan center, where the cultures of Rome, Persia, and India mingled. But these accounts are often vague, leaving historians and archaeologists with few clues as to its exact location. What remains of Adulis today is a collection of scattered ruins, barely visible in the landscape. The most significant remnants are a series of stone columns, crumbling foundations, and remnants of an ancient harbor, some of which lie submerged under water due to shifting tides and rising sea levels. The area around Adulis has been the subject of numerous archaeological excavations, but much of the city's grandeur remains hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. One of the most intriguing aspects of Adulis is its connection to the Aksumite Empire, one of the great civilizations of ancient Africa. The Aksumites, who ruled much of what is now Ethiopia and Eritrea, were known for their monumental architecture, including towering obelisks and impressive palaces. Adulis served as the main port for the Aksumite kingdom, and it is believed that the wealth from the city played a crucial role in the empire's rise to power. Yet, for all its importance, Adulis appears to have vanished almost without a trace. The decline of Adulis remains one of the most perplexing aspects of its history. According to some historical sources, the port began to decline around the 7th century AD, likely due to the rise of Islam in the region and the shift in trade routes. As new trade routes opened up, bypassing the Red Sea in favor of land routes through the Arabian Peninsula, Adulis's role as a commercial hub diminished. But while this explanation seems plausible, it fails to account for the complete disappearance of the port. The city's abandonment is so thorough that it has left almost no trace behind. No sudden decline, no visible destruction, and no signs of warfare. Could it have been a gradual erosion of influence? Or was there a more catastrophic event that led to its fall? Theories abound about the reasons for Adulis's disappearance. Some suggest that the shifting tides of history and the changing nature of trade patterns were enough to cause the city to fade into obscurity. Others propose that the rise of new powers in the region, such as the emerging Islamic caliphates, may have played a role in Adulis's downfall. The spread of Islam in the 7th century fundamentally altered the political and economic landscape of the Red Sea region, and it's possible that this shift contributed to the gradual decline of Adulis as a port of importance. Yet, there are those who speculate that the city may have suffered from something far more catastrophic. Could the ancient port have been the victim of a natural disaster, perhaps an earthquake or a tsunami, that caused widespread destruction? Some have suggested that the city was struck by a catastrophic event that left little behind, a theory that gained some traction given the geological activity in the Red Sea area. However, there is little definitive evidence to support such claims, and no clear archaeological signs of a sudden natural disaster. Adding to the intrigue of Adulis is the mystery of its underwater remains. Some sections of the ancient harbor are submerged, likely due to the gradual rise in sea levels over the centuries. It's possible that portions of the city, once fully operational, now lie hidden beneath the waves, preserved beneath layers of sediment. Could there be more to discover beneath the surface of the sea, waiting to reveal new secrets about the city's fate? Some believe that if these underwater ruins could be excavated, they might hold vital clues to the city's decline and eventual disappearance. The discovery of ancient coins and inscriptions at Adulis has provided some insight into the port's trade and cultural connections, but much of its history remains speculative. One particularly intriguing find was a large stone inscription found at the site that details a diplomatic mission between the Aksumite king and the Roman emperor. This inscription offers a rare glimpse into the political and economic relations between Adulis and the wider Mediterranean world. Yet, even with these clues, the full extent of the city's history remains frustratingly elusive. Perhaps the most puzzling aspect of Adulis is the question of its true legacy. Though it is often overshadowed by the more famous empires of the ancient world, Adulis played a crucial role in connecting cultures and facilitating trade across vast distances. The goods that passed through its harbor, spices, ivory, incense, and precious metals, were the lifeblood of ancient commerce, helping to link the African continent with Europe and Asia. Yet, as the centuries passed, the city's importance waned, and it eventually faded from memory. Was Adulis simply a casualty of shifting trade routes and political power, or does the mystery of its disappearance point to something deeper, something that has yet to be uncovered? Could there be a more profound explanation for the vanishing of this once thriving port, a lost chapter of human history that has yet to be fully written? As the sands of time continue to shift, the story of Adulis remains a tantalizing enigma, its secrets waiting to be discovered by those willing to look beneath the surface, whether it's in the water, the ruins, or the forgotten pages of history. What, then, lies beneath the surface of the lost port of Adulis? Will future generations unearth the answers to its mysteries, or will they remain forever lost to the depths of time? The ancient city still whispers its secrets, urging us to look deeper, question more, and uncover the truth that remains hidden in the sand and the sea. As we leave behind the mysteries of ancient ports and submerged cities, we now journey into the heart of the Irish countryside, where the mist settles on rolling hills and ancient stones whisper secrets of a forgotten age. Here, in the remote region of County Donegal, lies one of the most enigmatic and lesser-known sites of prehistoric Ireland, the Creevykeel Court Tomb. While not as famous as the grand megalithic wonders of Europe, Creevykeel stands as a testament to a lost civilization's spiritual and architectural ingenuity, a mystery still largely untouched by the scrutiny of modern scholars. The tomb is nestled on a hilltop, overlooking a quiet valley, where the gentle hum of nature is interrupted only by the rustling of leaves and the occasional call of distant birds. The site consists of a series of massive stone structures, their surfaces weathered and time-worn, but their original purpose still veiled in uncertainty. Creevykeel is a court tomb, one of several similar sites that dot the northern landscape of Ireland, and it was likely constructed during the Neolithic period, around 4000 BC to 3000 BC. Unlike the large imposing stone circles or passage tombs found elsewhere, Creevykeel is an example of a tomb that blends the architectural elements of both burial and ceremonial space, creating a complex and layered structure that raises more questions than answers. At first glance, Creevykeel appears as an imposing yet serene formation of stones, laid out in a series of concentric semicircular courts. The tomb itself is made up of a large central chamber, surrounded by a sequence of smaller chambers, all encircled by a stone-built court, which is open to the sky. What stands out immediately is the arrangement, a harmonious mix of linear and circular elements, suggesting not only an understanding of spatial design, but also a deliberate connection to the celestial, natural world. The entrance to the tomb faces west, toward the setting sun, hinting at the possibility of ritualistic connections to the cycles of the sun, the moon, or other celestial phenomena. The stones of Creevykeel are substantial, some weighing several tons, carefully arranged into a structure that would have taken immense effort to construct. The tomb was built using local stones, but their size and positioning suggest that the builders had considerable knowledge of engineering and design. How could the builders have transported such massive stones? Did they have the technology to roll or slide these boulders, or were they skilled in a method of levering and lifting that has been lost to history? These questions linger, with no definitive answers to explain the logistics behind such a feat. Inside the central chamber, there is evidence of ritual activity. Archaeologists have uncovered human remains, pottery fragments, and tools, which indicate that the site was used not only as a burial place, but as a ceremonial space. The remains suggest that the tomb was in active use for centuries, with bodies being laid to rest in the chambers and offerings placed near the stones. The site seems to have functioned as both a final resting place for the dead and as a ceremonial gathering space for the living, an intersection between the realms of the dead and the spiritual world. But what did the people of Creevykeel believe? What were they hoping to achieve through these complex burial practices? Some archaeologists suggest that the court tombs of Ireland were built for the elite, chieftains, priests, or powerful families, who sought to affirm their status in the afterlife through monumental burial rites. These tombs, with their labyrinthine layouts and intricate designs, seem to have been more than just practical structures. They may have been symbolic representations of the journey into the afterlife, meant to guide the deceased through a spiritual passage. The carefully designed chambers could have served as sanctuaries where the dead were prepared for their final journey, perhaps under the protection of the spirits invoked by the rituals performed within. But here's where the mystery deepens. Why did they build these tombs in such specific and seemingly deliberate locations? Creevykeel, for example, is positioned on a hill, and the view from the tomb offers a commanding sight of the valley below. Was the site chosen for its connection to the land, or perhaps its view of the setting sun? There are hints that this may have been a site of astronomical significance, with alignments to solar or lunar events. Some researchers believe that the positioning of the tomb may correspond to specific celestial events, such as the winter solstice or the equinoxes. Was Creevykeel designed to align with the heavens, ensuring that the spirits of the dead could pass from the earthly realm to the divine? Adding to the intrigue is the theory that Creevykeel might not have been unique in its design. There are several other court tombs scattered across the northern part of the island, and many share similar features. These structures appear to form a network, connected not only by geography, but perhaps by shared cultural or spiritual beliefs. Could these tombs have been part of a larger ritual landscape that connected the living with the divine through a series of sacred sites? If so, the landscape around Creevykeel may have been as much a spiritual map as a geographical one, with each tomb forming part of a greater whole, a web of sacred connections meant to guide the souls of the dead. Despite the many theories surrounding Creevykeel, one thing remains clear. Its true purpose is still a mystery. We can make educated guesses based on the evidence we've uncovered: human remains, offerings, and alignments to natural phenomena. But the deeper significance of this place, the true meaning behind its design and use, remains hidden from us. What did the people who built Creevykeel believe about death and the afterlife? What did they see when they looked out from the stone platform, watching the setting sun and the shadows fall over the valley? Was this tomb simply a place for the dead, or was it something more? A portal, a gateway, a sacred space where the living could commune with the dead. Some scholars speculate that the tomb may have had a ceremonial function that transcended the individual. If Creevykeel was a place where the living gathered to honor their ancestors, perhaps the people who built it saw the tomb as a space for communal ritual, a place where families, tribes, or communities came together to honor their dead and their gods. Could the tomb have served as a meeting place, where ceremonies were performed to ensure the prosperity and well-being of the living? Yet, despite all the theories, the most unsettling aspect of Creevykeel remains its mystery. Like so many ancient sites, it continues to evoke a sense of wonder, as though it is whispering a secret to us, one that we are still too far removed to fully understand. As with many other prehistoric sites, we are left with fragments of knowledge, stones, bones, and symbols that tell only part of the story. The deeper layers of meaning are concealed, hidden beneath the earth, just as the tombs themselves are buried beneath the weight of time. Is it possible that Creevykeel was more than just a tomb, more than just a ceremonial space? Could it have been a sacred site of transition, a place where life, death, and the cosmos intertwined? Perhaps the key to understanding this ancient place lies in the spaces between the stones, the way the sun falls upon the rocks, the way the land stretches out before it. As the layers of history continue to unfold, one can't help but wonder, what, if anything, remains hidden in the shadows of Creevykeel, waiting to reveal its secrets to those who dare to listen closely? As we continue our journey through time, we find ourselves in the heart of the American South, where rolling hills and dense forests cradle an ancient landscape that once pulsed with life and culture. Here, nestled along the Black Warrior River in present-day Alabama, lies the Moundville Earthworks, an archaeological site that continues to fascinate and mystify. This sprawling complex, now preserved as part of a state park, is a testament to the ingenuity and sophistication of the ancient Mississippian culture, which flourished in the region long before the arrival of Europeans. But despite its historical significance, Moundville remains an enigma, shrouded in mystery and ripe for exploration. At its peak, more than 1,000 years ago, Moundville was one of the largest and most influential cities in what is now the southeastern United States. The earthworks cover a vast area, with over 20 massive earthen mounds arranged in a carefully planned layout. These mounds, some of which are nearly 30 feet high, were built over several centuries, serving as the foundation for a thriving community that built complex homes, ceremonial spaces, and trade networks stretching across the continent. The mounds themselves were used for a variety of purposes. Some served as burial sites for the elite, while others were likely used for ceremonial events, possibly linked to the agricultural cycles that were the lifeblood of the Mississippian people. What immediately strikes visitors to Moundville is the sheer scale and precision of the earthworks. The mounds are arranged in a near-perfect alignment, suggesting that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of geography and possibly even astronomy. The central plaza is surrounded by mounds, which form an imposing and deliberate ring around the open space. This circular design suggests that Moundville may have had symbolic significance, with the mounds serving as physical representations of the cosmos. Could they have been designed to mirror the movements of the stars, the cycles of the moon, or the shifting seasons? The alignment of the mounds raises questions about whether the Mississippian people had a deeper understanding of celestial events, an idea that has been speculated upon by archaeologists for decades. But while the design and purpose of the mounds are fascinating, what makes Moundville truly intriguing is the uncertainty surrounding the culture that created it. Unlike the well-documented civilizations of ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, The Mississippians left behind no written records. What we know about Moundville comes primarily from the study of its architecture, its burial practices, and the artifacts that have been unearthed from the site. However, much about their society, beliefs, and reasons for constructing such an elaborate complex remains speculative. The Mississippians were a mound-building culture, and they constructed similar earthworks at other sites throughout the southeastern United States. However, Moundville stands apart in both size and complexity. The city reached its peak around 1100 AD, with estimates suggesting that it may have supported as many as 3,000 to 4,000 residents. The mounds themselves were made from a mixture of dirt and clay, and the largest of them were used as platforms for wooden structures, possibly temples or the homes of high-ranking individuals. The central plaza, which lies between the mounds, would have been the site of public gatherings, ceremonies, and feasts. Within these mounds, archaeologists have discovered thousands of artifacts: pottery, tools, jewelry, and even remnants of human remains. Some of the most significant finds have been burial goods, which suggest that the people of Moundville practiced elaborate mortuary rituals. The grave sites of the elite were often adorned with intricate pottery, shell beads, and copper objects, indicating a highly stratified society. Yet, what stands out about these burials is not just the material wealth buried with the deceased, but the seeming importance of ritual and symbolism. Many of the artifacts recovered from the site are symbolic in nature, suggesting that the Mississippians may have had a complex belief system that tied the physical world to the spiritual. Despite these insights, there is still much we do not understand about Moundville. The questions surrounding the site are numerous and profound. Why did the Mississippians build such elaborate mounds? Was it purely for ceremonial purposes, or did the mounds serve a more practical function, perhaps as a means of elevating important structures to avoid flooding, or to demonstrate social status? What was the role of the elite in Moundville? Archaeological evidence suggests that the elite controlled the most lavish tombs and the finest burial goods. But what did this tell us about the political and social structure of the Mississippian people? One of the more intriguing aspects of Moundville is its apparent decline. The site was abandoned by the 1500s, long before European settlers arrived in the area. This disappearance has puzzled archaeologists for years. Why did Moundville fall into decline? Some theorists suggest that environmental factors, such as flooding or soil depletion, may have played a role in the site's eventual abandonment. The Mississippians relied heavily on agriculture, particularly maize, and it's possible that agricultural practices may have exhausted the local soil or disrupted the delicate balance of the environment. Others propose that the decline was linked to social upheaval, internal conflict, or the arrival of outside forces. There are even fringe theories that suggest an extraterrestrial or supernatural connection to the site, particularly because of the precise alignments and geometries of the mounds. Some theorists have posited that the Mississippians may have been in communication with beings from beyond the stars, or that the mounds themselves represent a kind of cosmic map. While such ideas remain highly speculative, they reflect the enduring mystery of the site and the fact that we have yet to fully unlock its secrets. Perhaps the most compelling question is whether the spiritual practices of the Mississippians influenced other cultures across the Americas. The design of Moundville, with its central plaza surrounded by mounds, shares similarities with other ancient Native American earthworks, such as those found at Cahokia, a massive Mississippian city near present-day St. Louis. Could Moundville have served as a model for these other cities, or was there a broader cultural connection that we have yet to fully comprehend? As we stand among the earthworks of Moundville today, with the quiet hum of nature surrounding us, it's easy to imagine the bustling life of the city at its peak. The mounds would have been places of power, prestige, and ritual. The central plaza would have been filled with the sounds of ceremonies, festivals, and exchanges between the people of Moundville. But as we peer deeper into the mystery of this ancient site, we are reminded that much of its story remains untold. Who were the people who built Moundville, and what did they believe? What did they see when they looked up at the sky, and how did they use the land beneath their feet to tell stories about life, death, and the cosmos? The answers remain just beyond our reach, buried beneath the layers of time. As we continue to dig, both physically and metaphorically, we may one day uncover the missing pieces that will bring Moundville's story into full view. Until then, we are left to wonder, what secrets still lie hidden beneath the mounds, waiting to be revealed? As we continue our journey across time and across the world, we now find ourselves in southern Spain, where the rugged hills and sweeping olive groves conceal a truly ancient and awe-inspiring structure, the Dolmen of Menga. Part of the greater Antikythera dolmen site, this megalithic wonder is one of the largest and most enigmatic of its kind, standing as a silent testament to a culture long lost to history. In a landscape steeped in both natural beauty and ancient mystery, the Dolmen of Menga's massive stones create a stark, almost otherworldly presence that seems to invite us into a past that is far older and more complex than we can yet fully understand. The Dolmen of Menga is an enormous burial mound, or tumulus, built using massive stone blocks, some weighing as much as 150 tons. These massive stones are arranged in a dormitory-like fashion, creating a long passageway that leads into a central chamber. It is believed that the dolmen was constructed around 2500 BC, a time when complex societies were emerging in the Iberian Peninsula. But the size and precision of this structure, along with its purpose, have sparked fascination for generations of archaeologists and historians. How could such immense stones have been transported and placed with such precision? Why was it built in this specific location, and what did the builders hope to achieve through such monumental effort? The dolmen itself is a striking structure. The entrance to the chamber, now exposed to the elements, is flanked by two towering stones, each carefully placed in alignment with the others. The chamber is formed by a series of large, upright stones, with a massive capstone resting atop them, covering the burial space below. The passageway that leads to the chamber extends around 25 meters long and was originally aligned to the rising sun. This alignment is crucial. Ancient cultures often used the heavens as a guide, and it is possible that the builders of Menga had a deep knowledge of astronomical events. Perhaps this was not merely a tomb, but a place of spiritual significance, meant to align with the celestial rhythms of the world. The questions surrounding the construction methods are just as mysterious as the structure itself. How did the builders of Menga transport and position such massive stones? Given that no wheeled carts or advanced tools would have been available at the time, the scale of the task seems unfathomable. The dolmen's size suggests a highly organized society capable of coordinating large-scale labor forces, perhaps involving hundreds of workers. Some theorists suggest that primitive methods, such as rolling the stones over logs or using a system of levers, could have been employed. But the true mechanics of such an achievement remain speculative. Could the builders have used methods that have been lost to time, or were there advanced techniques available to them that we have yet to understand? Inside the chamber, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of burial practices. Human remains, pottery, and other artifacts have been found, suggesting that this site was not merely a symbolic or ceremonial structure, but a functional tomb, used for the burial of important individuals. Yet the nature of these burials raises additional questions. Were these people revered in life as much as in death? Were they part of a society that believed in a sacred relationship between the living and the deceased, one that required such a monumental structure to honor them? The sheer scale of the burial site and the impressive number of human remains discovered here suggests that the Dolmen of Menga may have been the burial site for elite figures, perhaps rulers or spiritual leaders, who held great influence over the surrounding communities. The placement of the dolmen itself also contributes to the air of mystery. The site is strategically located in a valley near the Guadalhorce River, surrounded by limestone hills. Its position within the landscape seems to have been carefully chosen, not only for its accessibility and visibility, but for its possible alignment with the forces of nature. The hills that encircle the site could have been viewed as sacred, and the river itself may have symbolized a passage between the realms of the living and the dead. This connection between water, stone, and sky suggests that the Dolmen of Menga was not simply a physical structure, but also a spiritual nexus where the forces of nature and the cosmos converged. Yet despite these theories, the purpose of the dolmen remains elusive. Was it purely a funerary monument, or did it serve additional ceremonial or astronomical purposes? The fact that it was aligned with the rising sun could indicate that it was used for astronomical observations, marking the passage of the sun throughout the year, or possibly serving as a tool for tracking the solstices or equinoxes. The connection between sacred architecture and celestial observation was a common theme in ancient cultures. Could the dolmen have served both as a burial site and a cosmic observatory? Did the builders view the rising sun as a sign of rebirth, using it as a guide to connect the dead to the divine? As we step back and look at the site as a whole, the scale of the dolmen and the surrounding landscape suggests that Menga was more than just a burial ground. It was a cultural epicenter, a place where ancient rituals were carried out and where the mysteries of life, death, and the cosmos were explored. The size of the stones, the precision of their placement, and the alignment with celestial bodies all point toward a civilization that possessed an intricate understanding of astronomy, geometry, and the spiritual forces that shaped their world. But there is more to the story of the Dolmen of Menga that cannot be fully explained. There are legends that have grown up around the site, some of which suggest that the dolmen was the work of supernatural beings, or that it marks the spot of an ancient, otherworldly event. These stories, while not scientifically verifiable, have fueled further speculation. Could the dolmen be a remnant of a lost prehistoric civilization, whose knowledge and power were so advanced that it bordered on the mystical? Or is it simply a testament to the extraordinary capabilities of early human societies? Some even speculate that Menga might have been built to honor gods or spirits of the earth, using the energy of the land itself as a conduit for connecting with the divine. The passageway inside the dolmen may have been seen as a symbolic journey to the afterlife, with the dead passing through the stone tunnel toward the sacred space beyond. The alignment with the sun could then be interpreted as a way of marking the soul's passage from the earthly realm into the light of the next world. But perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this: why was the Dolmen of Menga abandoned? Despite its monumental scale and its clear cultural significance, Menga was eventually left to crumble and decay. What drove the people who built it to abandon such an awe-inspiring structure? Did the site lose its power over time, or was it intentionally abandoned due to shifting spiritual or cultural beliefs? Or, perhaps more intriguingly, was the dolmen deliberately concealed, its secrets hidden from the world in order to preserve the mystery for future generations? As we ponder these questions, we are left with more than just a fascination with the dolmen's size and craftsmanship. We are left with a deeper curiosity about the people who built it, their beliefs, their society, and their understanding of the forces that governed their world. The Dolmen of Menga stands as a silent witness to a distant past, offering only glimpses of a profound mystery that remains, to this day, unresolved. What truths about the cosmos, the spirit world, and human ingenuity are buried beneath those ancient stones, waiting for the right eyes to uncover them? As we walk away from the Dolmen of Menga, we are reminded that not all questions have answers, and some mysteries are meant to endure, stretching across the centuries and waiting for a time when they might finally be understood. As we delve deeper into the shadows of the ancient world, our journey takes us to the forgotten realm of ar-Rasas, an archaeological site located in modern-day Palestine. Hidden beneath the desert sands, this mysterious site offers a glimpse into a forgotten chapter of human history, one that continues to captivate and perplex scholars and archaeologists alike. But it's not the surface ruins of ar-Rasas that command our attention today. It's what lies beneath, in the secretive world of its underground structures. ar-Rasas, once a thriving city, now stands as a haunting testament to the civilizations that once flourished in the region. The site itself is an impressive collection of ruins, with remnants of Roman and Byzantine architecture scattered across the land. But it is the underground network, the subterranean tunnels and chambers that lie hidden beneath the surface, that continue to baffle historians. For centuries, the exact nature and purpose of these underground spaces remained largely unknown, until recent discoveries began to peel back the layers of time and reveal a hidden world. The underground structures of ar-Rasas are unlike anything found elsewhere in the region. Carved into the earth, these chambers and passageways extend deep below the ruins of the ancient city. Unlike other ancient sites where subterranean spaces were primarily used for storage or refuge, the tunnels beneath ar-Rasas appear to have been meticulously planned and constructed with a purpose that remains shrouded in mystery. Why were these spaces built? And why did the people of this ancient city choose to create such complex and seemingly secretive underground realms? Some of the underground chambers appear to have been used for ritual purposes, suggesting that they held significant spiritual or religious meaning for the people who constructed them. The architecture within these subterranean spaces is sophisticated, with carefully designed features that speak to a level of craftsmanship and understanding of engineering that was far ahead of its time. However, the exact purpose of these chambers remains elusive. Were they used for worship, as many archaeologists speculate? Or were they connected to a larger network of underground spaces used for trade, communication, or even as a defense mechanism against invaders? What makes the underground complex of ar-Rasas even more intriguing is the apparent symbolism embedded in the design of these spaces. The layout of the tunnels and chambers suggests that they were not simply constructed for practical purposes. Their placement and orientation in relation to the surface structures seem to have been deliberately chosen to create a harmonious balance between the built environment and the natural world. Some theorists propose that the underground spaces were linked to ancient astronomical or astrological knowledge, with the placement of the tunnels possibly aligning with celestial events or the cycles of the moon and stars. Could it be that the people of ar-Rasas viewed the underground spaces as a conduit between the physical world and the heavens above? Could these subterranean chambers have been designed to capture celestial energy, a belief held by some ancient cultures around the world? One of the most striking features of the underground chambers is their construction. Many of the tunnels appear to have been carved out of solid rock, while others are made from finely hewn stone. The precision with which these chambers were built suggests that the people of ar-Rasas possessed a level of engineering expertise that we still struggle to comprehend. This leads to a pressing question. How did the ancient builders manage to excavate such vast subterranean spaces without the sophisticated tools we have today? Were their methods more advanced than we give them credit for? Some have suggested that these builders may have had access to forgotten technologies, tools, or techniques that have been lost to time. As we explore these underground chambers, we can't help but wonder about the spiritual significance of the site. The people who inhabited ar-Rasas were not merely concerned with the practicalities of daily life. They also built structures that seemed to transcend the mundane. Some of the subterranean chambers contain intricate carvings and inscriptions, some of which appear to be symbolic or ritualistic in nature. What do these carvings mean, and why were they placed in such an isolated underground space? Could they have been part of a secret or esoteric tradition, one that was only accessible to a select few within the society? In addition to the chambers, there is evidence of ritualistic practices that have been uncovered in and around the underground areas. Archaeologists have found animal bones, pottery, and other artifacts that suggest these spaces were used in ceremonies or offerings. The presence of these items raises another question. Were these rituals performed in secrecy, away from the eyes of the public? The isolated nature of the underground chambers suggests that they may have served as a sacred space, perhaps reserved for high priests or spiritual leaders who were entrusted with the knowledge of the divine. The presence of a large temple complex at the surface of ar-Rasas only deepens the mystery. The surface ruins are impressive in their own right, with large temples, churches, and public buildings spread across the area. The Roman and Byzantine influence is evident in the architecture, but the question remains: how did these above-ground and underground spaces interact with one another? Were they part of a larger, coordinated religious or societal system that linked the heavens, the earth, and the underworld in a way that we still cannot fully understand? Some archaeologists speculate that the underground chambers were used as a place of refuge during times of conflict. Ar-Rasas, located at the crossroads of important trade routes, may have been a city of great significance and, as such, a target for invaders. The underground tunnels could have served as a defensive structure, providing a hidden escape route for the inhabitants of the city. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory. If the tunnels were defensive, why were they so intricately designed and focused on ritualistic and symbolic features? The defensive theory, while plausible, fails to fully explain the artistic and ceremonial elements found within the underground chambers. One of the more speculative ideas surrounding ar-Rasas suggests that the underground chambers were part of a larger network of tunnels that may have stretched across the region, connecting different cities or sacred sites. This theory proposes that the underground network served as a means of communication, trade, or even pilgrimage for ancient peoples. Could it be that ar-Rasas was part of an ancient spiritual or trade network that spanned the region, connecting communities through both physical and metaphysical means? Despite the intrigue and fascination that surrounds the underground structures of ar-Rasas, the mystery remains unsolved. What was the true purpose of these chambers? Were they part of an ancient religious system, a secret society, or a forgotten technological marvel? The evidence we have is fragmentary, and much of what we know is still speculative. Yet, the underground world of ar-Rasas continues to captivate the imagination of all who visit, and the questions it raises are unlikely to be answered anytime soon. As we step away from the ruins of ar-Rasas, we are left with more questions than answers. The underground chambers, with their carefully crafted passageways and cryptic symbolism, remain a profound mystery. What hidden knowledge or truths about this ancient civilization still lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? And, more importantly, what secrets do these forgotten tunnels still keep locked away beneath the shifting sands of time? As we move from the shadows of the underground world of ar-Rasas, we journey westward, where the land of Mycenae, once home to some of the most legendary figures in Greek mythology, holds its own ancient enigma. Nestled in the rugged hills of the Peloponnese, the Tholos tombs of Mycenae stand as silent guardians to the secrets of a civilization that thrived more than 3 millennia ago. These structures, known also as beehive tombs due to their unique shape, are both awe-inspiring and mysterious, offering us a glimpse into the beliefs and rituals of the Mycenaean world. But while they have been studied for centuries, many of the questions they raise about the Mycenaean society remain unanswered. The Tholos tomb of Atreus, perhaps the most famous of the Mycenaean tombs, is an architectural marvel. Built around 1250 BC, it is a giant circular structure composed of precisely cut stone, the walls of which rise to an astonishing height. The tomb's corbelled roof is particularly remarkable. an engineering feat that allows the massive stones to support each other without the use of mortar. The result is a tomb that, despite the ravages of time, still stands as a testament to the craftsmanship and ingenuity of its builders. The grand, imposing entrance, framed by large lintels, is designed to welcome visitors, but what exactly the tomb was meant to house, and for whom, remains shrouded in mystery. As we approach the site, the sheer scale of the tomb becomes evident. The circular chamber at the heart of the tomb is enormous, with a diameter of over 14 meters. It's difficult to comprehend how such an immense structure was constructed in an age without the advanced machinery we use today. Was this tomb the final resting place of a king, or did it serve a more symbolic purpose? Archaeologists have long debated the identity of the tomb's original occupant, with some theorizing that it was built for Atreus, the legendary king of Mycenae, father of Agamemnon and Menelaus, whose story is immortalized in Homer's epics. Yet, no definitive evidence has ever linked the tomb to Atreus specifically. In fact, the mystery of the tomb's intended occupant only deepens when we consider that it may not have been a singular tomb at all. The tomb itself is only part of the enigma. Around the great circular structure lies a vast complex of other Tholos tombs, scattered across the landscape. These smaller but still impressive tombs were built with similar methods and often contained the remains of high-status individuals, suggesting that the Mycenaean elite had a complex relationship with death and the afterlife. Grave goods have been discovered in many of these tombs: golden jewelry, weapons, pottery, indicating a belief in the importance of the afterlife, where the deceased would need these items for a journey beyond the grave. But this raises another question. Why were these items so carefully chosen? Were they meant to accompany the dead into an afterlife, or were they symbolic of the deceased's status and power? When we examine the architectural style of these tombs, a striking feature becomes apparent: the precision with which the stones were cut and placed. The Mycenaeans employed a technique known as ashlar masonry, in which stones were carefully shaped to fit together without the use of mortar. The stones, particularly in the large entrance passage, are so perfectly fitted that even centuries of erosion and earthquakes have not been able to dislodge them. How were these massive stones quarried, transported, and placed with such precision? Some experts suggest that the Mycenaeans might have used simple but effective tools like levers and cranes, but this theory alone doesn't fully explain the extraordinary level of sophistication evident in the tomb's construction. Were they working with knowledge that has since been lost to history? Some even suggest the possibility that the Mycenaeans were privy to techniques that would have been ahead of their time, but evidence for this remains speculative. In addition to the technical marvels of the tomb's construction, there is something undeniably spiritual about the Tholos tombs. The tombs were built as burial sites for the elite, often associated with religious or ritualistic practices. The entryway to the tomb, or the dromos, was designed to evoke a sense of reverence, guiding visitors into the inner sanctum. The orientation of the tombs themselves, while often determined by the geography of the land, may have been aligned with certain celestial events, much like other ancient tombs and temples. Could these tombs, built with such grandeur, have served not only as the final resting place for the dead, but also as a ritual center where ceremonies of worship, both for the gods and the dead, were held? The very shape of the tombs, circular and dome-like, has led some to theorize that they may have represented a symbolic journey into the underworld. In many ancient cultures, the circle was a symbol of eternity, and the beehive shape could represent the heavens, a passage from the earth to the sky, or even the afterlife itself. Could it be that these structures were more than just graves? They were symbolic portals to another realm, a means by which the Mycenaeans connected with the divine? Were the elaborate designs and careful placements of these tombs intended to align the living with forces far beyond their understanding? Despite all the discoveries made at the Tholos tombs of Mycenae, much about their purpose and the people who built them remains a mystery. Were these tombs built solely for burial purposes, or did they have a more profound and complex function in Mycenaean society? The artifacts found within the tombs provide some insight into the material culture of the Mycenaeans, but they also suggest that these tombs may have served as focal points for religious rituals, ceremonies designed to ensure the safe passage of the deceased into the afterlife, or to honor the divine forces they believed controlled life and death. Equally enigmatic is the sudden abandonment of Mycenaean culture. The Tholos tombs, once filled with the wealth and treasures of the elite, were eventually closed and sealed. What happened to the civilization that built these extraordinary tombs? Was there a catastrophic event, an invasion, a plague, or perhaps a collapse in trade that caused the Mycenaeans to abandon their grandest creations? Or did the society simply evolve, shifting its focus and leaving the tombs behind, their meanings lost to the ages? Could there be more to this story than the historical record allows us to see? Looking at the Tholos tombs today, their grandeur is undiminished by the passing centuries. The stones still stand tall, as though waiting for answers to questions that continue to linger in the air around them. Their purpose, their meaning, and the knowledge embedded in their construction may never be fully understood. Yet they remain, powerful reminders of a civilization that built monuments to honor their dead, and perhaps, in doing so, left behind a legacy that speaks not just to the ingenuity of their time, but to the timeless human desire to understand life, death, and the mysteries of existence. As we stand before the Tholos tombs of Mycenae, we are reminded that the ancient world is not simply a place of facts and dates, but a rich tapestry of questions and mysteries that have yet to be unraveled. What exactly did the Mycenaeans believe about death and the afterlife? And what might still lie buried beneath these ancient stones, waiting to be discovered? The questions remain, and with them, the allure of the unknown. As we journey from the monumental tombs of Mycenae, we shift our focus to an equally enigmatic site, one that lies in the heart of Japan, a place where the boundaries between the known and the unknown seem to blur with each passing century. We are drawn to the strange and captivating Masuda-no-Iwafune, an ancient stone structure whose purpose and origins have confounded historians, archaeologists, and researchers alike for over a millennium. Situated on the shores of the Sea of Japan, Masuda-no-Iwafune is not just a physical monument, it is a mystery wrapped in the fabric of time, a symbol of a forgotten civilization, or perhaps even a contact with something far beyond the reach of recorded history. The site is located in Masuda, a small town on the west coast of Honshu, Japan's largest island. But while the location may be relatively modest, the structure itself is far from ordinary. Masuda-no-Iwafune, which translates roughly to Masuda's stone ship, is a massive, ancient stone monument that defies simple categorization. The structure consists of a large, flat stone platform positioned at the edge of the sea, surrounded by a collection of tightly arranged standing stones. These stones, carefully placed and seemingly arranged in the shape of a ship, have led many to speculate about the purpose of the site. Could this be the remains of an ancient ritualistic or ceremonial space? Or perhaps, as some have theorized, is it the remnants of something even more inexplicable? An ancient landing pad or navigation marker created by visitors from afar? The sheer size of the platform and the precision with which it was constructed are astonishing. The stones, some of which weigh several tons, have been arranged with such accuracy that they appear to serve a purposeful design rather than being placed haphazardly. But why a ship? And why in such a remote location? The questions start to multiply as we look deeper into the structure's history and the ideas surrounding it. The stone formation itself is what draws the most intrigue. The alignment of the stones seems to suggest that the monument was designed not only with careful attention to spatial relations, but also with an awareness of the natural elements, specifically the movement of the tides and the celestial alignment. Some researchers propose that the structure may have been designed to track celestial bodies, marking the changing seasons or important astronomical events, similar to how many ancient cultures constructed monuments that aligned with the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. Is it possible that Masuda-no-Iwafune was part of an ancient network of sites that tracked the stars, or did it serve another, more mysterious purpose? Theories surrounding the monument range from the conventional to the extraordinary. Some scholars assert that Masuda-no-Iwafune was built as a place of worship, a location where ancient peoples could connect with the divine, perhaps by offering sacrifices or prayers to deities associated with the sea. The sea itself, with its vast and uncontrollable power, was a powerful symbol of mystery and danger, and it's conceivable that the monument served as a means to honor that force. Other theories propose that it was an ancient navigation aid, perhaps used by maritime travelers to find their way through the treacherous waters of the Sea of Japan. Could this be a marker for sailors, guiding them safely to harbor or warning them of dangerous currents? But there are deeper, more speculative theories that bring an air of the unknown to the site. Some have pointed to the site's unusual shape, a shape reminiscent of a ship, as evidence of possible contact with civilizations or beings outside the conventional understanding of human history. Was it, as some fringe theorists have suggested, a landing pad for extraterrestrial craft? The concept of ancient astronauts, or visitors from beyond the stars, has gained traction in certain circles, and Masuda-no-Iwafune has often been cited as one of many such sites around the world where evidence of such interaction might lie hidden. While this idea remains firmly in the realm of speculation, the possibility cannot be entirely ruled out, especially when considering the advanced engineering required to create such an aligned and monumental structure without the tools or technologies we associate with modern civilizations. More grounded in history, some scholars suggest that the monument could represent a ceremonial ship burial site, a place where powerful individuals were interred with ships or boat-shaped structures, a practice common in many ancient cultures. The idea of the ship as a vessel that carries the soul into the afterlife was widespread in ancient times, from the Viking ship burials of northern Europe to the Egyptian boat burials found along the Nile. Could the ship shape of Masuda-no-Iwafune serve a similar function? Was this a place for the dead, a monument dedicated to those who had crossed from this world to the next, much as the ancient Egyptians had done? The monument's celestial alignment might indicate such a belief, suggesting that the ship not only served as a physical representation of the afterlife journey, but also as a cosmic one, connecting the departed with the stars above. Adding another layer of complexity to the mystery is the fact that Masuda-no-Iwafune remains relatively unknown to the general public, especially in comparison to more famous archaeological sites in Japan. While the ruins of ancient Shinto shrines or the historic castles of Japan attract tourists and historians alike, the quiet presence of Masuda-no-Iwafune stands somewhat apart, as though it's waiting for someone to unlock its secret. Why, out of all the ancient monuments in Japan, has this one largely remained in the background? Does it suggest that the knowledge hidden within it was intended only for a select few? Or could it be that the true purpose of the site has been lost to time, with the secrets of its builders slipping through the cracks of history? What further deepens the mystery is the lack of clear records regarding the exact age of the monument. Unlike the Tholos tombs or other well-documented ancient sites, Masuda-no-Iwafune doesn't fit neatly into any established historical timeline. Some estimates place its creation at around 300 BC, while others suggest it could be much older, possibly dating back to a time before written history in Japan. This temporal ambiguity adds an air of mystery to the site. Could Masuda-no-Iwafune be much older than we think? Perhaps a remnant of a forgotten civilization that once thrived along the shores of the Sea of Japan, its origins obscured by the sands of time? As we stand before Masuda-no-Iwafune, we are left with more questions than answers. What did the ancient people who built it believe? Was it a place of worship, a cosmic map, or something altogether different? What secrets lie hidden in the stones that seem so deliberately arranged, yet remain so enigmatic in their purpose? The very shape of the monument, its connection to the celestial, and its mysterious placement by the sea invite us to ponder the intentions of those who created it. Whether it was designed as a vessel for the gods, a navigational tool, or a memorial for the dead, the fact remains that Masuda-no-Iwafune is more than just a pile of stones. It's a puzzle that continues to elude our understanding. With each theory, each discovery, the mystery only deepens. And as we look at this ancient structure, with the waves of the Sea of Japan crashing softly against its stones, we are reminded that some mysteries may never be fully solved. What exactly was the purpose of Masuda-no-Iwafune? What might we still uncover about its origin and meaning? Perhaps, like the sea it faces, the answers are hidden beneath layers of time, waiting to be discovered, waiting to reveal their secrets when the world is ready to understand them. As we move further into our exploration of ancient mysteries, we now find ourselves in the highlands of Peru, where the enigmatic remains of the Wari culture beckon us to uncover their secrets. Among the many astonishing ruins left by this advanced civilization is a structure that continues to baffle archaeologists and historians, the Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate. This ancient gate, located within the larger site of Pikillaqta, presents one of the most puzzling enigmas in South American archaeology. With its precise construction, massive stone blocks, and mysterious function, the gate is a key piece in a larger puzzle, one that we still struggle to piece together. Standing at the threshold of the Pikillaqta site, the Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate is both imposing and delicate. The stonework that forms its entrance is crafted from huge, precisely cut blocks of limestone. The gate's structure is unlike anything seen in other contemporary Andean cultures, with its stone blocks fitting together with such precision that not even a knife blade could slide between them. The sheer scale of the stones, some weighing several tons, raises immediate questions. Who were these people, and how did they possess the knowledge and tools necessary to construct such monumental architecture? Was the use of these giant stones a deliberate choice, or did it serve a deeper, unknown purpose? The Wari civilization, which flourished between 500 BC and 1000 AD, was one of the most powerful and complex cultures in pre-Columbian South America. Their reach extended across a vast expanse of the Andean region, from what is now southern Peru to parts of Bolivia and northern Chile. The Wari people are credited with influencing many subsequent Andean cultures, including the Inca, who later rose to prominence. However, much about their society remains a mystery, particularly their architectural achievements. The Pikillaqta site, where the megalithic gate is found, was a key Wari center, but its exact function is still debated. Was it a religious center, a military stronghold, or perhaps an urban hub that served multiple purposes? The answer remains elusive. The megalithic gate itself is a towering structure, framed by walls of imposing stone, the very scale of which hints at a purpose far beyond simple decoration or functionality. The precision of the stonework suggests that the Wari were not only master builders, but also skilled engineers, with an intimate understanding of the land and its resources. The fact that the gate was built from huge, heavy stones raises further questions about the construction methods the Wari employed. How did they transport and place these immense blocks, some weighing several tons, without the advanced technologies we associate with modern engineering? Traditionally, it is believed that the Wari used a combination of human labor, stone tools, and simple machinery, such as levers and ramps, to move and position their stones. However, this explanation does little to account for the complexity and precision with which these stones were cut. Some researchers have suggested that the Wari may have used methods that were either lost to history or that have yet to be discovered. Perhaps they used a more sophisticated technique involving unknown tools, or maybe their construction methods were far more advanced than what we can even imagine. Could they have possessed knowledge or tools that have since disappeared, lost in the sands of time? Even more intriguing is the question of the gate's purpose. Some experts have posited that it may have served as a ritualistic or ceremonial entrance, perhaps marking a place of religious significance. The Wari were known for their intricate religious practices, which often included the use of symbolic architecture. The gate's strategic positioning within the larger site, its monumental size, and its architectural sophistication suggest that it could have played a vital role in the rituals that once took place here. Could this gate have been a symbolic boundary between the sacred and the mundane, a gateway to the divine or to the spiritual world? It is possible that the gate was designed to mark a boundary, not just physically, but symbolically, separating the profane world from the sacred realm. Other theories suggest that the gate may have been part of an urban planning system, a key feature of Wari architecture that can still be observed at sites like Pikillaqta. Some have speculated that the Wari built their cities with a specific alignment to celestial events, using gates like this one as markers for astronomical events or seasonal changes. The Wari culture had a sophisticated understanding of the stars, and some believe that the placement of the megalithic gate could have aligned with certain celestial bodies, marking important events in their ritual calendars. The fact that Pikillaqta was laid out in such a grid-like pattern, a design that was strikingly advanced for its time, has led some researchers to suggest that the city itself may have been constructed with the heavens in mind, its gates and walls serving as markers in a larger astronomical plan. Then there are more speculative ideas, theories that take us into the realm of the unexplained and the unusual. Some have drawn comparisons between the Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate and other ancient megalithic structures around the world, such as the Great Pyramids of Egypt or the stone circles of the British Isles. Could the Wari, like other ancient cultures, have been influenced by a shared knowledge, perhaps passed down through a network of long-forgotten civilizations? Could the gate be part of a larger global phenomenon that spanned continents and ages, connecting disparate cultures with a common understanding of architecture, symbolism, and engineering? This question raises yet another possibility, that the Wari were not just isolated builders working in a vacuum, but were part of a greater ancient network that spanned vast distances. We know that ancient cultures frequently engaged in long-distance trade and cultural exchange, and it is possible that the Wari, with their sophisticated knowledge of stone construction and engineering, were influenced by other advanced civilizations from around the world. Could the megalithic gate be an example of this exchange, a symbol of ideas shared across time and space? While we have little concrete evidence to support such claims, the idea remains tantalizing. However, as is often the case with ancient structures, the true purpose of the Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate may forever remain a mystery. We can hypothesize, examine, and interpret, but the past holds its secrets tightly, leaving us with only fragments of knowledge to work with. What exactly was the Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate designed to do? Was it merely a functional entrance to the site, or was it something far more profound, a key to understanding the beliefs and practices of a lost civilization? The stones themselves, silent and steadfast, seem to guard their secrets with quiet dignity. As we stand before this ancient monument, we are left to ponder the many questions it raises. What did the Wari know that we do not? What purpose did this gate truly serve, and what mysteries are still hidden beneath the surface of this massive stone structure? In the end, the gate is not merely a physical doorway. It is a symbolic threshold, one that invites us to step into the unknown and reconsider what we know about the ancient world. Perhaps one day, new discoveries will shed light on these questions. Or perhaps, like so many other wonders of the past, The Wari Pikillaqta megalithic gate will remain a silent witness to a forgotten time, holding its secrets close and reminding us that some mysteries are simply meant to endure. As we leave behind the windswept highlands of the Andes, we find ourselves transported to the warm, tropical waters of the Pacific Ocean, off the coast of the island of Pohnpei, part of the Federated States of Micronesia. Here, hidden beneath the dense jungle canopy, lies a place that has long captured the imagination of archaeologists, historians, and adventurers alike. Nan Madol. Known as the Venice of the Pacific, this ancient city is a staggering complex of stone structures, seemingly built to float upon the tidal waters like some forgotten city of myth. But Nan Madol is no legend. It is a real place, one that, to this day, defies full explanation. Nestled on a small, low-lying series of artificial islands, Nan Madol is an archaeological marvel. Stretching across a vast area of the island's northern coastline, the site consists of over 90 man-made stone platforms, arranged in an intricate, almost labyrinthine pattern. The platforms, which rise out of the shallow lagoon waters, are linked by a network of narrow canals. It is as if the city itself was built upon the sea, its ancient stone walls rising up from the water's surface, casting long shadows beneath the sun. When viewed from a distance, the sight is nothing short of surreal. An ancient city, half submerged, as though it were meant to be both part of the land and the sea, a liminal space that exists somewhere between the two. The stones used to construct Nan Madol are another mystery entirely. Basalt, a dense, heavy volcanic rock, was transported across the island to create the city's towering walls. These stones were carved with such precision that even today, modern engineers would be hard-pressed to replicate the craftsmanship. The blocks, some weighing as much as several tons, fit together seamlessly, creating walls that are almost perfectly straight. How did the builders of Nan Madol manage to carve, move, and stack these massive stones without the use of modern tools or machinery? Many have speculated that the construction of the city was a monumental feat requiring thousands of workers, but the sheer logistics of the endeavor remain unclear. Even more enigmatic is the question of how the builders moved these immense stones across the island, especially considering that there is no obvious source of basalt quarries nearby. Did the ancient inhabitants of Pohnpei have methods that have been lost to time? Or could they have employed techniques beyond our understanding of ancient engineering? The purpose of Nan Madol itself remains one of the most compelling mysteries surrounding the site. Scholars agree that the city served as the center of the Saudeleur dynasty, which ruled over Pohnpei for many centuries. But what function did the megapolitan complex serve in their society? Some have argued that it was a political and religious capital, a ceremonial center where the elite could carry out the duties of governance and ritual. This theory is supported by the presence of large, open-air courtyards and ritualistic platforms, suggesting that it may have been a place of worship or a place where social elites gathered to conduct ceremonial and political business. However, the scale of Nan Madol and its sheer remoteness has led to a number of alternate theories. Could it have served as a trade hub, connecting Pohnpei with other islands in the Pacific? Or was it perhaps a fortress, built to defend the Saudeleur rulers against outside threats? The city's sprawling complexity, with its interconnected platforms and maze-like layout, gives the impression of a place designed not just for administration, but also for control, a way for the rulers to keep watch over their subjects. But the enigma deepens when we consider the size and scope of the project. Nan Madol was not just a collection of platforms. It was a sprawling urban center, complete with hundreds of stone structures, some of which remain remarkably well preserved. These structures, called Nan, are thought to have been used as homes or ceremonial spaces. Intriguingly, many of these buildings are arranged in a precise, grid-like pattern, suggesting an advanced understanding of urban planning that is still not fully understood. Some researchers have even noted similarities between the layout of Nan Madol and other ancient cultures known for their architectural precision, such as the Mayan cities or the Inca civilization. Could the architects of Nan Madol have been influenced by far-reaching cultures, or was this a completely independent development? Another theory that has captured the imagination of some is that Nan Madol was built by a civilization that predates the Saudeleur dynasty by centuries. Some have suggested that the city was constructed by an earlier people, perhaps with knowledge that was lost after their disappearance. These theorists point to the intricate construction techniques used in the building of Nan Madol, which seem beyond the capabilities of the Saudeleur dynasty. The level of sophistication involved in the design and execution of such a grand project suggests a cultural memory of monumental construction from an earlier age. Could the builders of Nan Madol have inherited this knowledge from a previous, long-forgotten civilization? Equally intriguing are the myths and legends that surround Nan Madol. Local traditions speak of the city's mysterious origin, with some tales suggesting that the first ruler of Nan Madol was not a man, but a godlike figure. According to these stories, the gods themselves helped build the city, using magical powers to levitate the massive stones and place them with divine precision. Others speak of the ancient builders as having been supernatural beings, perhaps giants or otherworldly figures who possessed knowledge and powers far beyond those of ordinary men. These stories have given rise to a more speculative view of the site, one that leans into the mystical and supernatural, though they are not accepted by mainstream archaeologists. Despite these legends, it is likely that the real history of Nan Madol lies somewhere between the mythical and the practical. The Saudeleur dynasty, which ruled Pohnpei for over 1,000 years, was known for its advanced society, which included a highly organized system of governance, religion, and engineering. The dynasty's rulers were said to have lived in seclusion, with the outer world being kept at bay by the city's architecture and its difficult-to-navigate waterways. Perhaps Nan Madol's enigmatic quality was a deliberate part of its design, an effort to isolate the ruling class from the ordinary citizens of Pohnpei. The gates and walls of the city may have been as much about protection and control as they were about status and grandeur. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding Nan Madol is not the physical city itself, but its abandonment. By the early 17th century, the once vibrant city was largely deserted. Why did the inhabitants of Pohnpei leave this magnificent city, leaving behind a series of ruins that would eventually be lost to history? Theories range from environmental collapse, possibly caused by changes in climate or a natural disaster, to the possibility of internal political upheaval or outside invasion. Did the city fall as a result of the same forces that often lead to the decline of great civilizations? Overexpansion, resource depletion, or external conquest? Or was the fall of Nan Madol something more mysterious, tied to the cosmic forces alluded to in local legends? Standing at the edge of the ruins, it is difficult not to feel a sense of awe mixed with uncertainty. The stones, silent and unmoving, seem to hold their secrets tightly. In many ways, Nan Madol is a mirror of the larger mysteries of ancient history, an enduring puzzle that continues to draw us in, to make us ask questions about what we know and what we may never fully understand. The truth of Nan Madol is likely to remain as elusive as the fading echoes of the civilization that built it. We can speculate, we can investigate, and we can look for answers. But as we ponder its significance, we are reminded that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, at least not fully. Instead, they challenge us to explore, to imagine, and to recognize the possibility that the ancient world, with all its complexity and wonder, still has much to reveal. And as the waters of the Pacific lap against the ancient stone walls of Nan Madol, we are left to wonder, what secrets still lie hidden beneath its surface? As we leave the enigmatic shores of Pohnpei, our journey takes us across the globe to the windswept hills of Ireland, where another ancient mystery beckons. Here, nestled in the rolling landscapes of County Meath, lies a place that has long intrigued archaeologists, historians, and explorers alike: Loughcrew Cairns. These ancient burial mounds, which date back thousands of years, are part of a greater puzzle that continues to defy full understanding. Loughcrew, known locally as the Hill of the Ward, is home to a vast complex of passage tombs, large stone structures built by ancient peoples for ritualistic purposes and burial. But unlike the more famous and widely studied New Grange or Noath, Loughcrew has a quieter, more mysterious air to it. Situated on the summit of a hill, the cairns at Loughcrew are shrouded by the gentle mist that often lingers in the morning air, giving the entire site a dreamlike quality, as if it were part of some other world, forgotten by time. The cairns themselves are a striking sight. Massive stone structures, some over 5 meters tall and covering several hundred square meters, are clustered together in a way that suggests deliberate planning and design. The passage tombs, characterized by their long, narrow corridors, are constructed from large slabs of stone, some of which are intricately decorated with spiral motifs and geometric patterns. These carvings have long been a subject of fascination. They are a testament to the craftsmanship of the people who built them, but they also carry with them an air of mysticism, as though they were intended to hold secrets, perhaps even knowledge we have yet to fully decipher. The tombs at Loughcrew, much like other Neolithic sites in Ireland, are believed to have been built around 4000 BC. This would place their construction at a time when the people who lived here had only the most rudimentary tools: stones, flint, and wood. And yet, the engineering feat required to move and position such massive stones suggests a level of organization and skill that is surprising for an age so long ago. How did these ancient people manage to transport these stones? And why build such monumental structures on a hilltop, a place where the tombs themselves seem to almost merge with the landscape? The positioning of the cairns is also a key part of the mystery. At the autumn equinox, sunlight shines directly down the passageways of some of the cairns, illuminating the carvings within. The alignment of the tombs to celestial events, such as the equinoxes and solstices, suggests that the builders were not only concerned with death and the afterlife, but also with the cycles of the sun and the moon, an understanding of the natural world that was deeply tied to their spiritual beliefs. As we delve deeper into the site's history, we come across another layer of intrigue. In total, there are nearly 30 cairns at Loughcrew, many of which are marked by unique, enigmatic features. Some of the cairns have intricate roofed chambers or stone passages, but others are far more rudimentary, almost as if they were in the process of being built when construction ceased. Some of the cairns are believed to be burial sites for the elite or the shamanic figures of the community, while others are thought to have had more symbolic purposes, perhaps serving as places for rituals or ceremonies related to death and rebirth. What is most fascinating about Loughcrew, however, is the sense of unfinished business that hangs over it. While some of the tombs have been excavated, much of the site remains unexplored. Could there be more to uncover here? Could there be hidden chambers, or perhaps undiscovered passages, lying just beneath the surface, waiting to reveal new secrets? Archaeologists have long speculated that the area surrounding the cairns may hold further clues to their purpose and construction. One of the more speculative theories surrounding Loughcrew is that the tombs were part of a much larger complex, an ancient ceremonial center that spanned the entire region. Could this site have been the heart of a network of religious sites connected by ancient roads or passageways, all designed to serve the spiritual needs of a society that had a profound understanding of the heavens? Some even suggest that Loughcrew was part of an astronomical observatory, used to track the movement of the stars and planets. The idea that ancient people might have had an advanced understanding of astronomy is not new, and sites like Stonehenge in England and New Grange in Ireland stand as proof of the intricate relationship between the natural world and ancient spiritual practices. But even as we explore these possibilities, we encounter other, more mysterious explanations. Some local legends claim that the cairns were built by fairies or otherworldly beings, a common theme in Irish folklore. These stories tell of people who stumbled upon the tombs and were transported to another realm, where time moved differently, and ancient gods or spirits held sway. These myths have been handed down through generations, further blurring the line between historical facts and the more fantastical elements of Ireland's rich cultural tapestry. Interestingly, some of the carvings found within the tombs have a resemblance to megalithic art found in other parts of Europe, particularly the Mediterranean. Could there have been a larger network of ancient cultures, all with shared beliefs and symbols? Or was this purely a local development, unique to the people of the Boyne Valley? It's a question that has led some to wonder whether the people who built these tombs were influenced by other cultures that spanned Europe, from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic coast. Despite these theories, one thing remains clear: the purpose of Loughcrew Cairns is still a mystery. Were they places for the dead, ceremonial hubs for the living, or perhaps both? The spirituality of the people who built them remains an enigma, an enduring question that may never fully be answered. And then, there is the question of why Loughcrew was eventually abandoned. Why did the people who built these impressive structures leave the site and allow it to fall into disrepair? Was it a shift in spiritual beliefs? Or was there a more practical reason, such as the depletion of resources or the decline of the community? These unanswered questions add to the site's allure, drawing us in with their mystery. As the mist rolls over the hill, shrouding the cairns once again, we are left to ponder the ancient questions they present. The stones stand silent, their secrets buried beneath layers of earth and time, their carvings etched with symbols we may never fully understand. And in the stillness, one thought lingers. What did these ancient people believe? What did they understand about the sun, the moon, and the forces of nature that we are only beginning to grasp? At Loughcrew, as with many ancient sites, the past continues to whisper to us. The answers are elusive, but the questions endure. What might still be hidden beneath these ancient mounds? What ancient knowledge is buried in the soil, waiting to be uncovered? The mystery of Loughcrew Cairns is far from over, and the search for answers continues, perhaps for as long as the cairns themselves remain standing. As we journey deeper into the realm of the unknown, we find ourselves transported to the West African landscape, where another of humanity's great enigmas lies, the stone circles of Senegambia. Scattered across the borders of Senegal and the Gambia, these mysterious structures of stone stand in silent testament to a civilization long gone, yet their story remains as elusive as the origins of their creators. The stone circles, found primarily in the Badia Valley of Senegal and the Lamin-Koto region of the Gambia, are unlike any other ancient stone formation found elsewhere in the world. At first glance, they might appear to be simple ritualistic sites, scattered remnants of an ancient culture. But the more one delves into their history, the more mysterious they become. These circles, sometimes isolated, sometimes arranged in groups, are constructed with immense, towering granite megaliths that, when placed in their original positions, formed perfect concentric rings. At Senegambia, the complexity and scale of these stone circles go beyond what is visible. The stones themselves are placed with such precision that it's hard to ignore the possibility that they were deliberately aligned, perhaps to align with celestial bodies or other forces of nature. But this is where the mystery deepens. How did the people of the region, living in an era long before written records, manage to create such structures with such remarkable precision? And why did they choose stone as their medium when other materials, like wood or clay, might have seemed more practical for their purposes? The area known as the Senegambian Stone Circles is composed of nearly 1,000 individual monuments, making it one of the largest collections of megalithic sites in Africa. Some of these stones are massive, standing as high as 3 meters tall, while others are more modest in height, but are placed in such a way that their purpose and function continue to be debated by archaeologists and researchers. What was their function? Were they markers of territory, places of ritual sacrifice, or perhaps a calendar system tracking the changing seasons or lunar cycles? One of the most fascinating aspects of the Senegambian stone circles is the sheer quantity of these structures. The number of stones, spread out over such a vast area, suggests a level of social organization and planning that is unexpected for a culture that, as far as we know, did not have access to written records. Who were the people behind these circles, and what was their societal structure? Could they have been part of a centralized empire with the capability to mobilize labor for such large-scale projects? It's believed that these stone circles were constructed between 300 BC and 1600 AD, which places them firmly within the range of other great ancient civilizations. And yet, little is known about the people who built them. Most archaeologists agree that the Mandi people, an ancient ethnic group in West Africa, were likely involved in the construction of these stone formations. However, the lack of substantial written history leaves many questions unanswered. The mysteries of the Senegambian stone circles are not limited to their origins or builders, though. As research continues, more and more curious features about the site are being uncovered. One of the more speculative aspects of the site is its apparent alignment with astronomical phenomena. In a region where solar and lunar cycles are of great importance, could the stone circles have been built with the intent to track and predict these celestial events? The evidence is not entirely clear, but some researchers suggest that the stones were deliberately positioned to mark the movements of the sun during solstices and equinoxes, or to track the phases of the moon. Could these circles have served as an ancient astronomical observatory, a site where the stars and planets were observed and recorded? Some theories even propose that the circles were not only used for celestial measurements, but also as markers for trade routes or important meeting places for people traveling across the vast landscape of West Africa. But how could the ancient builders have known so much about the cosmos without the use of telescopes, written records, or even basic mathematics? Another mystery surrounding these stone circles is their disappearance, or rather, their rediscovery. For many years, the Senegambian stone circles were virtually forgotten by the outside world, hidden beneath the encroaching forest and agricultural land. It was only in the 19th century that the first formal investigations began. Since then, archaeologists have gradually pieced together the history of the site, but much remains undiscovered. Why was the knowledge of these stone circles lost for so long? And what does that say about the broader history of Africa's ancient cultures? Was it only through the lens of European exploration that the Senegambian megaliths came to light? Or were they always a part of a broader cultural tradition in the region? What is perhaps most perplexing about the Senegambian stone circles is the relative silence surrounding their purpose. In contrast to more famous megalithic sites, like Stonehenge or the Pyramids of Egypt, there is no definitive understanding of what these stones meant to their builders. Were they simply burial markers, like many of the other megalithic sites across the globe? Were they markers of social rank or status? Or were they imbued with a spiritual or ritualistic significance, as some researchers have suggested, linked to an early form of animism or ancestor worship? One particularly mysterious element of the site is the absence of human remains at many of the cairns and tombs within the circles. Unlike burial sites in other regions, the Senegambian stone circles seem not to have been used for mass burials. This raises the question of whether the circles were not primarily burial sites, but rather sites for ritual ceremonies or celebrations, perhaps related to the changing seasons, agricultural cycles, or the rites of passage for the local people. This could help explain the elaborate carvings and the careful alignment of the stones, which seem to suggest an intimate relationship between the builders and the natural world. And then there is the question of the stone's origins. The megaliths used to construct the circles are not naturally found in the immediate area, which suggests that they were either transported or carved from local quarries. The logistics of moving these enormous stones, some weighing as much as several tons, continue to fascinate experts. Were these stones carried across great distances by human labor, or is there a more ingenious, unknown method at play? Perhaps most puzzling of all, though, is the lack of definitive answers. While the Senegambian stone circles remain an incredible testament to the engineering and spiritual sophistication of their creators, many questions remain unanswered. Could there be something more to these stones than we understand? Were they part of a lost civilization, an early African culture that thrived in ways that we have yet to fully grasp? Or are they simply another chapter in a long history of human creativity and spiritual expression? What is clear is that the Senegambian stone circles are far from being ordinary monuments. They are a powerful reminder that, despite our advanced technology and modern knowledge, there are still places on Earth where the past continues to whisper, urging us to listen more closely and look deeper. The mystery of the Senegambian stone circles persists, just as it has for centuries, waiting for the next generation of explorers to unlock the secrets hidden beneath the stones. What is it about these enigmatic formations that we have yet to understand? What knowledge remains buried, waiting for us to discover? Only time will tell. As our journey through the world's most enigmatic ancient archaeological sites continues, we find ourselves in the quiet, rolling hills of western France, where a site of astonishing mystery has long captivated the curiosity of historians and archaeologists alike, the Tumulus of Bougon. Nestled in the Poitou-Charentes region, near the town of Bougon, this ancient burial site is a complex of 5 monumental burial mounds, known as tumuli, that date back to the late Neolithic period, around 4,500 BC to 3,000 BC. These mounds, constructed by early human societies, are massive structures, some reaching over 20 meters in diameter and standing more than 3 meters tall. From the outside, they may seem like little more than simple earthen mounds, a modest feature of the natural landscape. However, as we move deeper into the site and begin to uncover their mysteries, a more intricate and awe-inspiring picture begins to emerge. Each of these tumuli is not merely a pile of earth and stones, but rather a carefully designed, multi-chambered burial complex, a megalithic wonder of the ancient world. The tombs inside are constructed from carefully arranged stone slabs and large stones, forming the chambers where the dead were laid to rest. What sets the Tumulus of Bougon apart from other ancient burial mounds is the degree of sophistication in its construction and the symbolic significance that seems to be embedded in every stone, every layer, and every burial artifact. As we stand in front of these mounds, it's impossible not to feel a sense of reverence for those who built them. It's as if the weight of history presses down on us, urging us to unlock the secrets they have held for millennia. What was the purpose of these intricate burial chambers? What can we learn about the people who constructed them? And why were these sites chosen for such monumental final resting places? And perhaps most importantly, what mysteries still lie buried beneath the earth, hidden from our eyes? The tumuli of Bougon are striking for their architectural complexity. Unlike other burial sites of the same era, the tombs here are not simple pits or single-chambered structures. Instead, the burial mounds contain multiple chambers, some of which have been found to be arranged radially, as if they were designed to symbolize a specific cosmological or spiritual belief. Within these chambers, archaeologists have uncovered elaborate stone carvings and intricate rituals, suggesting that the builders of the tumuli had an understanding of both astronomy and symbolism that may have been far more advanced than previously thought. For example, One of the most striking features of the Tumulus of Bougon is the alignment of its burial chambers. In many cases, the chambers are oriented in a way that they seem to correspond with the sun's path during the solstices. This has led some researchers to speculate that the tumuli might have served as astronomical observatories or were used for ritualistic ceremonies tied to the cycles of the sun and moon. Could the builders of the tumuli have been using these structures to mark time, to track the seasons, or to align themselves with the celestial bodies above? Inside the chambers, the remains of the dead have been discovered alongside a rich array of grave goods, including pottery, tools, and in some cases, personal ornaments like beads and jewelry. The level of craftsmanship on display suggests a society that was not only capable of constructing these immense tombs, but also possessed a flourishing culture. These objects are thought to have been placed with the deceased to accompany them into the afterlife, which was a common practice in many ancient cultures. But the sheer variety of objects found in the tumuli raises a number of intriguing questions. What do these artifacts say about the social and cultural practices of the people who constructed these monuments? Were they ritual objects designed to serve specific spiritual purposes, or were they meant to display the wealth and power of those who were buried inside? The true identity of the people who constructed the Tumulus of Bougon remains one of the site's greatest mysteries. Archaeologists believe that the tumuli were likely built by the Celtic tribes that inhabited the region during the late Neolithic period, but beyond this general assumption, much remains unknown. Who were these people, and what drove them to invest so much labor and resources into constructing such monumental burial sites? Some researchers have suggested that the tumuli may have been constructed by a powerful elite, a group of individuals with considerable influence over their community. The elaborate nature of the burial chambers, along with the associated grave goods, may indicate that those buried in the tumuli were of high social status. But who were these leaders, and what was their relationship to the surrounding landscape and the people who lived in the area? What is especially puzzling is that the tumuli appear to have been built with a high degree of coordination, as if the people responsible for their construction possessed some kind of centralized authority. This raises an important question. Was there a highly organized society in this region during the Neolithic period, or were these burial mounds the result of independent efforts by smaller tribes working together? While the above theories offer plausible explanations, there is still much that remains unexplained. Archaeological evidence suggests that the tumuli were used for centuries, and the site itself appears to have undergone various phases of development over time. But what happened to the builders of the tumuli? Did their society disappear, or did they evolve into something else? And why did they choose to build such elaborate tombs in the first place? Could the tumuli have served purposes beyond burial, such as ritualistic rites, spiritual pilgrimages, or even astronomical observation? Moreover, the region surrounding the Tumulus of Bougon has been home to a number of mysterious structures, some that have been completely destroyed or lost to time. What was the significance of these monuments, and what knowledge was lost with their destruction? Could these tumuli have been the remnants of a forgotten civilization, one that disappeared into the mist of time, leaving behind only these mysterious structures as evidence of their once great culture? As we reflect on the Tumulus of Bougon, we are reminded of the fact that the mysteries of the past are often as elusive as the passage of time itself. Despite decades of research and excavation, we have yet to fully uncover the reasons behind these monumental constructions, nor have we fully understood the culture that created them. The tumuli stand as silent witnesses to a world long gone, their stones and earth holding the secrets of a civilization that has left behind more questions than answers. Perhaps one of the most profound mysteries surrounding the Tumulus of Bougon is the question of what we have yet to discover. What secrets lie buried within the chambers of these ancient tombs? What other fragments of knowledge have yet to be unearthed? And how much more is there to learn about the people who built these astonishing structures, whose ingenuity and creativity continue to mystify and inspire us today? The Tumulus of Bougon remains, as it always has, a place of quiet contemplation and mystery, an ancient enigma waiting to be unraveled layer by layer. And as we continue our exploration of these forgotten worlds, we can only wonder what hidden truths still lie beneath the earth, waiting to reveal themselves in time. As we move forward in our exploration of ancient archaeological enigmas, we arrive in the Orkney Islands, a remote cluster of islands off the northern coast of Scotland. Among the many curious sights scattered across this windswept, rugged landscape, there is one particularly mysterious formation that continues to draw attention: the Dwarfie Stane. At first glance, the Dwarfie Stane might appear to be little more than a large rock, an enormous, weather-worn stone that sits in the quiet solitude of Hoy, one of the Orkney Islands. But when examined closely, the Dwarfie Stane reveals itself to be something far more complex. Carved into this monolithic stone is a chambered tomb, a structure so enigmatic that it has long been the subject of debate among archaeologists and researchers. How did such a tomb come to be carved into a single massive stone, and what can it tell us about the people who lived on this island millennia ago? The Dwarfie Stane is located in a secluded valley on the island of Hoy, surrounded by a dramatic landscape of rolling hills and windswept cliffs. The stone itself is a massive sandstone block, weighing an estimated 30 tons and measuring nearly 8 meters in length, 3 meters in height, and 1.5 meters in width. It seems almost out of place in its environment, a solitary monolith standing in a natural depression in the ground, surrounded by little else but the elements of nature. Yet, this stone is not merely a natural formation. It has been carefully shaped and hollowed out, revealing a tomb of remarkable complexity. The tomb itself is built into the rock and is accessed through a small, roughly hewn entrance. Inside, the space is divided into 2 chambers, both of which are carved into the stone with remarkable precision. The first chamber is a relatively simple rectangular room with smooth, almost polished walls, while the second chamber is smaller and more confined. Archaeologists have long speculated about the purpose of the tomb and who might have used it. The most widely accepted theory is that it served as a burial chamber, likely used by early inhabitants of the Orkney Islands during the Neolithic or Bronze Age. What is striking about the Dwarfie Stane is not just the fact that it is a tomb, but the way it was constructed. Why carve a tomb directly into a massive rock, rather than building one from traditional materials like wood, stone, or earth? What drove the creators of the Dwarfie Stane to choose such an unusual method of construction, and how did they possess the skill to carve so precisely into such a hard stone? And then there is the question of its location. Why here, on this remote and exposed island? What did the stone and its tomb represent to those who created it, and what meaning might have been hidden in its design? As with many ancient sites, the Dwarfie Stane has sparked a number of theories about its purpose and origins. The most obvious explanation is that it was a burial site, a place where the dead were laid to rest. This seems to be the simplest and most plausible explanation, especially considering that similar chambered tombs are found across the Orkney Islands and the surrounding regions of northern Scotland. These tombs are often associated with burial practices of the Neolithic and Bronze Ages, when societies were beginning to develop more complex ritual and spiritual beliefs surrounding death and the afterlife. However, the Dwarfie Stane is not just any tomb. Its unique features and the fact that it was carved directly into a single massive rock have led some to suggest more speculative theories. Some have posited that the stone might have been used for ritualistic or ceremonial purposes, rather than simply as a burial site. The precise alignment of the chambers, for example, has led some to wonder if the tomb was positioned to align with certain celestial events, like the solstices or equinoxes, making it potentially a ritual site tied to ancient astronomical practices. Others have pointed to the legendary nature of the Dwarfie Stane. The name itself, Dwarfie, hints at an association with mythology. According to local folklore, the stone was created by dwarfs who lived on the island. The stone's connection to local legends has contributed to its mystery, with some wondering if the site might have been a symbolic link between the physical world and a more spiritual or mythological realm. There are also theories suggesting that the Dwarfie Stane may have been a ritual chamber used for initiation rites or other ceremonial purposes. Its secluded location and the effort required to carve it into the stone could indicate that it was intended for a select group of individuals, possibly those who held positions of power or authority in the society that constructed it. Could the Dwarfie Stane have been the site of rituals designed to connect the living with the spirit world? Was it a place where individuals sought communion with the divine, or perhaps an entryway to the afterlife? Despite centuries of study and excavation, much about the Dwarfie Stane remains shrouded in mystery. The exact date of its construction is not known, and though it is often linked to the Neolithic or Bronze Age, its true origins remain uncertain. Some have even suggested that it could be much older, possibly dating back to an entirely different period of prehistory, perhaps even before the Neolithic revolution that marked the shift from hunter-gatherer societies to settled farming communities. One of the challenges of understanding the Dwarfie Stane lies in the lack of direct evidence about the people who built it. No written records exist from the period, and the stone itself provides little in the way of clues about the culture that created it. Unlike other ancient sites, there are no inscriptions, no carvings, and very few artifacts to help archaeologists piece together the story of the tomb's creation and use. What we do know, however, is that the Orkney Islands were a significant cultural and ritual center during the Neolithic period. Other sites in the region, such as the famous Ring of Brodgar and Skara Brae, suggest that the people of this time had a deep understanding of astronomy, geometry, and sacred symbolism. The Dwarfie Stane may have been part of this broader cultural landscape, connected to a network of ritual and religious practices that have yet to be fully understood. The Dwarfie Stane is a monument to a forgotten people and a bygone time. It stands as a silent testament to the ingenuity of those who carved it into existence, but it also raises more questions than it answers. Was it a tomb, a ritual site, or something entirely different? What does its design tell us about the people who created it, and what was its significance in their worldview? As with many ancient mysteries, the Dwarfie Stane reminds us of the limits of our understanding. It challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to consider the possibility that ancient cultures possessed knowledge and capabilities that we have yet to fully comprehend. And as we continue to study this enigmatic site, we are left to wonder, what other secrets might it still hold, buried in the stone, waiting to be discovered? For now, the Dwarfie Stane remains an enduring enigma, its purpose and meaning still locked away in the weathered surface of that solitary stone. Perhaps, in time, the answers will emerge, if we are patient enough to uncover them. The journey of ancient archaeological wonders takes us next to the rolling green hills of County Carlow in Ireland, where an imposing and enigmatic structure rests quietly, largely unassuming yet undeniably captivating. This is the Brownshill Dolmen, a megalithic tomb that continues to intrigue archaeologists and historians alike. While it may not carry the same widespread fame as Ireland's more well-known sites like Newgrange or the Hill of Tara, the Brownshill Dolmen stands as a testament to ancient engineering and spiritual practices that remain elusive to modern understanding. Standing proudly in the Irish countryside, the Brownshill Dolmen is a massive stone structure, one that seems almost surreal in its scope and positioning. The most striking feature of this dolmen is the giant capstone, which measures a staggering 13 feet in length and weighs approximately 100 tons. Suspended delicately atop 3 large upright stones, the capstone defies the laws of physics in many ways. How was such a massive stone moved, and why was it placed so deliberately? And perhaps more importantly, what purpose did this megalithic monument serve, and why is it so perfectly aligned to the forces of nature? The Brownshill Dolmen, also known as a portal tomb, is a type of structure that has been found across the British Isles and parts of Europe. Typically, these tombs consist of large upright stones arranged to form a chamber with a massive capstone placed on top. The dolmen at Brownshill is no exception, though its sheer size and the weight of the capstone set it apart from others in the region. What's more remarkable is the seemingly precise engineering involved in positioning the capstone. Although it is slightly tilted today, it still seems to balance precariously on the three supporting stones, its stability a puzzle in itself. The dolmen's structure suggests that it was not merely a random arrangement of stones, but a carefully designed architectural feat. How did the people who built it manage to transport such a heavy capstone, considering the primitive tools available to them at the time? It's one of the many questions that surrounds this ancient site. The stone technology required to craft and transport these massive slabs remains an enduring mystery, even in today's world of advanced machinery. It is believed that this monument was erected during the Neolithic period, approximately 5,000 years ago, but the intricacies of its construction remain unclear. Adding to the intrigue is the question of purpose. Like many megalithic tombs, the Brownshill Dolmen is thought to have been used for burial, perhaps as a tomb for a tribal leader or an important member of a community. The large size of the monument hints at something more than a simple grave, suggesting that this site may have had spiritual or symbolic significance beyond the purely practical. Could it have been a place for ritual ceremonies, where the dead were honored and the living sought communion with the divine or the ancestors? The most striking and mysterious feature of the Brownshill Dolmen, however, is the transportation of the capstone. How was such an enormous stone moved from its original quarry to this location, some distance away? Even modern engineers would find it difficult to move a 100-ton stone with the tools that were available in prehistoric times. The dolmen's precise alignment to the natural landscape also raises further questions. Why was the stone positioned so deliberately? Was it meant to align with celestial events? Or was there a symbolic reasoning behind its placement that we have yet to understand? Archaeologists have offered various theories to explain how the capstone might have been moved, but none offer a definitive answer. Some suggest that the builders may have used log rollers and sledges, dragging the stone over logs to transport it to the site. Others speculate that pulleys or a ramp system might have been employed. But these are only theories. No one truly knows how such a massive stone was placed in position. The sheer scale of the operation needed to build a structure like the Brownshill Dolmen points to a highly organized and skilled society. This was not the work of a few people using rudimentary tools. It was a community effort, one that required planning, labor, and a deep understanding of engineering principles. The fact that such monumental structures were built without the aid of modern technology suggests that these ancient peoples possessed knowledge that we have not fully comprehended. One of the more intriguing aspects of the Brownshill Dolmen is its potential astronomical significance. As with many other megalithic structures, some researchers have wondered if the alignment of the tomb had something to do with the sky. In particular, the capstone's position could suggest an alignment with the solstices, or perhaps other significant celestial events, such as the lunar standstill or eclipses. Could it have been a celestial marker, a way for the ancient inhabitants to track time, or perhaps to align their ceremonies with the movements of the heavens? Alignments with celestial bodies are common among other Neolithic sites, such as Stonehenge and Newgrange, where tombs or stone circles were constructed with the stars in mind. Could the Brownshill Dolmen have served as part of a larger system of stone monuments that tracked cosmic events? The potential connection between these monuments and the stars opens up many fascinating possibilities, though the exact role of the Brownshill Dolmen in such an astronomical network remains speculative. The Brownshill Dolmen is generally considered to be a portal tomb, a burial site for the dead. The tomb's design, featuring a chamber that would have been sealed after a body was interred, suggests a ritualistic purpose tied to death and the afterlife. The shape of the tomb, the placement of the capstone, and the burial practices associated with similar sites in Ireland and across the British Isles all point to a society with deep spiritual beliefs. Yet the exact nature of those beliefs is largely lost to time. Did the dolmen serve as a portal between the living and the dead, or did it serve as a symbolic gateway to the afterlife? The Neolithic peoples who constructed such structures had sophisticated ideas about life and death, as evidenced by the elaborate burial practices at other sites like Noath and Newgrange. But we can only speculate about the rituals that took place at the Brownshill Dolmen. Could the dolmen's large size have been intended to honor a person of great importance? Was the capstone a marker of a powerful individual, a leader or a shaman whose connection to the spirit world was celebrated in the grand scale of the tomb's design? The Brownshill Dolmen, like so many ancient megalithic structures, is an enigma. It stands as a monument to the people who built it, yet it offers few direct answers about who they were or what they believed. The mystery of its construction, the purpose of its placement, and the rituals performed within it all remain unresolved. As with many of the world's great archaeological mysteries, the questions surrounding the Brownshill Dolmen raise more ideas than they provide answers. Perhaps that's what makes it so compelling. The dolmen's massive capstone, seemingly suspended in time, invites us to ponder the ancient knowledge, spirituality, and ingenuity that went into its creation. It challenges us to look deeper, at the people who built it, at the rituals they practiced, and at the meaning they ascribed to the world around them. The mystery of the Brownshill Dolmen may never be fully solved, but its silent presence in the Irish landscape continues to beckon those who dare to ask, what was this stone monument truly meant to represent? As we move forward in our exploration of humanity's ancient wonders, the questions raised by the Brownshill Dolmen remain, perhaps forever unanswered, yet always intriguing. What more might be uncovered, if only we knew where to look?